Salutations, ghouls, and freaks. Welcome to Podcast of Storm, where insane slashers, undead blood drinkers, and all around crooked beans convene to talk and debate all things pop culture. With me, as always, is my co-host, the Mage of Madness, aka the Authenticator, Dalton L. Mortimer.
Good evening.
And
We are once more in that glorious, glorious October country.
And I am your host, slash Scarecrow impersonator, the Brains from Pop Culture. How's everyone doing tonight?
I am doing well. As Brainstormer knows, I got a new kitten this week, so I am very, very happy. And he is adorable. His name is Zephyr.
So weirdly enough, we had things just kind of congeal into a very consistent topic week for the first podcast of October, unintentionally.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be all about Frankenstein. Weirdly enough, most of it's from me, which is truly the most surprising thing.
I was a bit busy this week on grounds of, as I previously stated, getting a new kitten who demanded oodles and oodles of my attention because he's only between 6 and 10 weeks old and is a little baby. So I had to make sure he didn't hurt himself while exploring things and stuff.
Right. Alright, so, because Dalton loves to do these, and he is, as he so affectionately loves to call himself, a monster fucker.
Let he who is without a browser history cast the first stone.
What? I'm not. Well, okay, I have a particular type of woman, but I wouldn't say that qualifies me as a monster fucker. Okay, I want you to explain how you think I'm a monster fucker.
You like your girls tomboyish and tough, or I guess
Okay.
in this case I should say your ghouls. But I'm Tish.
Okay, that doesn't.
And monsters frequently occupy that niche. Is the thing.
I still wouldn't say I'm a monster fucker.
You just haven't met enough attractive monsters. Fortunately, you have started reading Dresden Files, so that will resolve itself rather quickly. I am waiting with bated breath for the day you realize who Laura Wraith is. Which, for the sake of transparency, I will tell you is book 6.
Okay, appreciate it. Yeah, so we're doing this whole month. We're going to be doing theme weeks, How did you put it again, Dalton?
Monster Mash Graveyard Smash.
Yeah, we're doing Smash or Pass with pop culture monsters or monsters that scratch our particular itch. And if anyone is feeling up to it, please feel free to put your list in the comments or chat or whatever. Up to you. We're not going to judge. As Lord knows, we're all weirdos here.
Yeah.
Why we're here.
Nothing but pots and kettles around these parts.
Okay. Let me get a coin so I can flip for us.
Okay.
And obviously, we're going to be doing this, descending to ascending.
Mm.
Ascending order.
Yeah, from least mashable to most mashable.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Also, don't I just remembered to let you know about this. I didn't put down I didn't look at photos for your honorable mentions because I didn't have honorable mentions, so I didn't really feel it fair to put them there. I mean, you can bring them up,
Okay.
obviously. You can bring them
Right.
up if you want, but
Right.
I
Okay. Anyway,
yeah.
flip the coin,
Okay, hold on. Yep, found one. Okay.
or I guess in this particular context, pull the switch, Igor.
That doesn't really work here, dude. Because I'm still flipping a coin, so.
Okay.
No, I get what you're trying to do. I'm just saying, like, okay, anyway, heads or tails?
Heads.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? All right, you first, then.
Well, you are more inclined toward chasing tails, so I suppose that does work.
What the fuck?
What? You get to make a coin pun and I don't get to respond in kind?
No, it's just like that is the most like vulgar joke you've actually ever made, like ever since I've known you. It's always been
Like
more
I said,
subtle than that.
like I said, I felt compelled to respond in kind, so there.
No, I get that, but I was not expecting that. That was again, Don. Like whenever you've been made those kind of jokes, they're more innuendo-ish or very subtle. They're not as overt as that.
I mean it was still a pun. Give me some credit.
No, I get that. I'm just saying, like, I was not expecting that. That genuinely surprised me there.
Well, good. Glad to know I still have a few surprises for you after all these years.
Motherfucker, your whole existence is a surprise to me.
Yeah, that's fair. I frequently find it myself startled by it, so that's fair.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're number 5. Let me get the image there. There we
Oh
go.
wait, before we do,
Shit.
before we do honorable mentions, um, my honorable mentions were Bolt Steiner from my Babysitter's a Vampire the series, which you will be seeing more of in the coming weeks. Trust me. Um, that show, and in particular one single episode of it was very formative for me for some reason. But anyway, Bolt
Yeah, no one wants to
Steiner,
get killed by a werewolf jock.
yeah, the one thing I discovered while planning out these lists, there are almost no himbo vampires, and that's probably because all of the himbo werewolves exist, all of them. But we will return to this particular canard in the coming weeks. But anyway, with regards to Bolts, the main reason he's an honorable mention and not on the list proper is A, because there were just more attractive Franken creatures than him, and B, because he literally did not have a brain, and therefore he is my equivalent of a fixer-upper, I suppose. Although I'm sure, given that this particular Franken creature was brought into existence by necromancy, there probably is some spell I could find to fix him up that way, but semantics. But anyway, on to, oh, my second honorable mention, because there were two of them, and I had to do this just for the geek points, frankly, which is of course Rocky Frankenfurter from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. The main reason why he is not higher on the list is because he is far too skinny. He has a physique more like a male model, and I like my guys to be absolute units. So there. And that is one positive for various Franken creatures. Franken creatures are frequently unit-esque, so fun
To be fair,
fun
you also
times.
uh, It's been a long time since I've seen Rocky Horror Picture Show. Um, it's good. I actually remember watching that that live performance on TV.
Mm.
Actually, wasn't bad. I genuinely like that.
I wish they had done it at a time where Tim Curry could have still done Dr. Frankenfurter. Because no, like, no shame to anyone else who's taken up that role, but come on, no actor working today wants the responsibility of having to uh, take up the mantle after Tim Curry has had it.
Anyway, Dalton's number 5.
Yes,
Oh, and to be fair, you weren't specific, but I assume this was the one you meant.
either way is fine.
Well, it
But
was. This is the one we grew up with, so with the movies.
in terms of sheer physical attractiveness, actually, the crown of the most attractive version of Lurch in the course of the Addams Family IP still probably goes to the '60s one because he was surprisingly handsome, but that's neither here nor there. I almost felt like I had to include this one on the basis that for those that haven't been around for very long, I'm basically all but an honorary Adams. So in terms of Franken creatures, Lurch has the added benefit of it would get me into the Adams family, and that will never not be a positive thing for me. Um, because them's my people, and so on. Um, but yes, Lurch Lurch has the added benefit of also being a butler, so a little bit of a service kink there, but eh. Um,
I really wish I didn't know that about you.
oh, sweet summer child. You can't even act like that's the most bizarre thing you know about me.
Yeah, you don't like sandwiches. Besides grilled cheese, but that's a given.
Because I am not, in fact, a monster, except in all the ways that that's a positive thing. Um,
Mm.
as we shall see throughout the course of this month, certainly. But yes, Lurch is Lurch is there because he has all the positive qualities of a lot of the other characters on this list, and he also is an Adams, so being in a relationship with him would also make me part of the family, which will never not be appealing to me. Anyway, you're number 5, sir.
Yeah, give me 1 sec. Get that ready. Okay. This is a bit obscure one, but the bride from a short called "We Will Be Monsters." Um, it's something you can find on YouTube. Apparently, it was like a collaboration between Universal and Fortnite. Don't ask me why, but it was an unique and interesting interpretation of like the Universal monsters. Like, um, I can't really explain it. Maybe in the next few weeks we might cover the short itself,
Mm.
because I think it's interesting. But the whole idea is Bride is recruiting like monsters like Dracula, Wolfman, Mummy, and uh, trying to change their fates as the world, like their stories, which end effectively tragically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all in a bid to save Frankenstein, who is trapped somewhere. And so obviously she demonstrates a lot of loyalty, compassion, and um, I am not gonna lie, she looks very pretty. like I said, she's my number 5 just simply because don't see a lot of her, and also it is a weird niche thing that I think is interesting, but ultimately not as gripping or exciting as other ideas for like the Universal monsters. So anyway, let me get our number 4s ready.
Yep.
Okay, so screen. Yeah, number 4 is weird.
Uh-huh. As opposed to the rest of the list. But Kyle Spencer from American Horror Story Coven.
Well, the reason I say it's weird is because he doesn't really fit your. Well, what I know of you, how he looks, it just doesn't seem to fit.
He could indeed be a bit bigger, but
Okay, so I'm gonna. You know what? No, I'm gonna be brutally honest on this one. Motherfucker looks like a twink.
he's not.
What I'm saying is he looks super, super fucking effeminate, and that just never struck me as like.
That is to some degree why he's low on the list, because the idea of him is more interesting than the execution of it, which is okay. So, Kyle is a frat guy at a local university in American Horror Story Coven, and he strikes up a budding romance with Zoe, um, and before they can really take anything very far, um, several of his frat bros end up raping Madison Montgomery, who is kind of the queen bee, like Regina George from Mean Girls of American Horror Story Coven. And Zoe saves her from being raped. Um, I I wouldn't mention it, but it actually becomes relevant to what happens with Kyle. So anyway, Kyle ends up being the lone good frat boy in his particular frat, but Madison Montgomery ends up telekinetically flipping the party bus that the frat guys have and killing them all. Which is, of course, devastating for Zoe because this is the first time since she got her powers that she found she might actually like a guy. The backstory there being her particular gifts manifested themselves with an ability similar to Bilquis's from American Gods, except instead of like consuming the people she's with wholesale, she ends up causing them brain hemorrhages. She's kind of a cross between Rogue from the X-Men and and Bilquis from American Gods. But anyway, so as a thank you to Zoe, Madison steals a necromancy spell from the school where they're learning their witchcraft. The problem being, because Madison was reckless and pissy and flipped an entire bus for the sake of revenge, the bodies of the various frat guys are completely ripped apart. But Madison, being a girl after my own heart in this particular instance, decides that she's going to take Kyle's head and basically fabricate the ideal jock from all of the various other body parts. Which I wish the actor they had playing Kyle could have embodied a little bit more, but que
Evan
sera,
Peters.
sera. Huh?
Evan Peters. That's the actor.
As in,
Quicksilver from the Fox movies.
well, fuck. It's a small world after all. God damn it.
Okay.
Hmm?
You never mind. You don't, no. We're moving on.
I haven't I haven't seen Evan Peters in many things outside of Quicksilver, so I didn't recognize him. Sue me. This was, I believe, also before he got the role of Quicksilver because
He was also
I
in Kick.
believe
He was in the first Kick-Ass movie. He's been in a lot of stuff, man. I don't know how. You know what? No, that's because I watch a lot more stuff than you do. Never mind. I realize that now.
yeah. Anyway, so the long and the short of it is because Madison and Zoe are amateurs and don't really know what they're doing. Their spell goes wrong in that it resurrects Kyle, but he doesn't really have his personality and memories, and they kind of have to teach him how to be human again, which of course is very, very adorable. Um, and then there's, and then the back, and then it gets really dark because American Horror Story Coven likes to be edgy, or American Horror Story in general likes to be edgy. It turns out that his mother was abusing him. So when Zoe resurrects him and takes him home to his mother, thinking she's doing a good thing, she then finds out that the mother had been abusing him, and uh, they end up rescuing him from his formerly abusive mother. Um, but anyway, so that takes up most of the course of American Horror Story Coven, and then what the hell is her name? Uh, Not Cordelia. Cordelia is the nice one. Fucking Fiona. Fiona Fiona Good, the most powerful witch in their particular coven, um, notices that he's a broken toy essentially and finally fixes him. At which point Zoe and he rekindle what remains of their relationship with the added flux of because he is now um, made of the best bits of an entire fraternity, he also has a kind of bloodlust that manifests itself as an overprotective desire to beat anyone who even remotely disrespects her, which, you know, in the hypothetical universe where it was me instead who resurrected him, one, not to toot my own horn here, but I wouldn't be so asinine as to fuck up the spell in the first place, probably. And for another thing, the obsessive beating the fuck out of everyone who disrespects me thing would get him a lot of romance points. Anyway, on to your number 4, sir.
Yep. Alright. Ugh. Sorry, Christ, I really don't know why I'm so tired. Okay,
Maybe we should hook you up to a lightning bolt and try to breathe a little bit more life into you. But I'm Tish.
nah, I don't think it'd work. Life kicks my ass too many times a day for a bolt of lightning to start up my
You
nerve.
you just don't want to give me the opportunity to go. It's alive.
I feel like you can do that. It's something else. I just don't want to be your first fucking thing that you do that with.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I don't.
your number 4.
Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. I was gonna say Elm Street. I don't know why the fuck I was gonna say that.
That'd be a very, very different movie.
Yeah. Um. Well, I know it's not explicitly said, but clearly she is a Frankenstein homage.
Mm.
Um. Uh. She's genuinely sweet. Nice person. Um. Very caring. And very in engine what's the word ingenuity no
Ingenious.
No, no.
The word you're thinking of is ingenuity. I just don't know what I just don't know what the verb form of that would be.
Yes, she has a lot of ingenuity. Like don't because she was able to trick the guy who created her, Doctor. What's his name?
Dude, it's escaping me at the moment. I'm gonna have to. I'm going to have to disciplinarily watch Nightmare Before Christmas again as soon as we're done here.
Anyway,
Shame on me.
yeah, she was able to trick him. She's actually tricked Oogie Boogie as well in the movie. Um, and she's also like, again, like going back to the caring thing, with like Jack trying to prevent him from doing like the disaster that would happen when him trying to do Christmas.
This is the interesting thing about her. Not to hijack your thing, but like something I've always liked about her, and it's probably not surprising to anyone, is that despite being a creature made from mad science, or at least mostly made from mad science, we don't really know about her mother. Um, she seems to have an affinity for magic, so much so that it actually annoys her father, because he of course wants her to be his perfect little daughter, and Sally is too interested in being her own person for that.
Yeah. Um, Christ. Um, other, she is number 4 simply because, uh, though I will admit I have not read any supplemental material that has delved more into a character, as I've only seen the movie. Um,
Mm.
so please keep that in mind. So my opinion does come with a grain of salt because again I don't know her character fully if it develops more or not. After the movie, I think she is too nice for my
Mm.
kind of liking. Um,
You want someone who can sass you a little bit.
yes, maybe that's where we're good friends. Just now realizing that. Okay.
It may well at least be a factor.
Yeah. Um, I don't think she's again like she's low on the list just simply because she doesn't really truly match my criteria for what I desire in a partner. So
She's a little bit too much of a girly girl for you, I think.
yes, though I don't mind that particularly if yeah I don't mind it particularly if it's in moderation, but that just seems like her through and through. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, number threes.
Yep.
Okay, let me get yours. Yeah, number three.
Yes. Adam from the movie I Frankenstein. Um, this one kind of almost takes Adam to a superheroic angle. Although, frankly, if it's going the superhero angle, I wish it had gone a little bit further. Um, but he's lower down on the list simply because, again, similar to Kyle, he's a little bit too skinny, and I think they did too much to unugly him and set like this is gonna sound weird, but the the part of what makes Adam so appealing to me as a concept is his like little bit of self-loathing that I would then in a hypothetical relationship have to um have to ease a little bit. And for like I'm all for remembering that Adam is essentially a superhuman. Like he is the ideal person Victor wanted to make, and he succeeded, and then was too stupid to realize that A, he couldn't control how he looked given that his father put him together, and B, that you still have to raise a child that you make from scratch, Victor, goddamn you. But yeah, oddly enough, he's too skinny and too pretty to really be as appealing to me as other versions of Adam tend to be. And even in terms of turning Frankenstein into a superhero, which I do like, and it does work with Adam because superhumanly intelligent, built like the freaking Hulk, etc., and so on. Um, it that does work, and we will return to this theme of what if Adam Frankenstein was a superhero uh, shortly. But this this one is this one is definitely Hollywood trying to make Adam more attractive, and it almost backfires on them, to be honest with you, because it's missing a lot of that tragic need to be healed, need to be saved thing that makes Adam so attractive to me.
But not
Yep, moving on.
all right. My number 3 is The Bride from Creature Commandos. Shut the fuck up, Dalton.
I'm just now realizing that if I was with the guys in my Monster Mash list and you were with the girls in your Monster Mash list, we could double date.
Not untrue. But yeah. So I have obviously made my opinions known on the show of Creature Commandos. I'm not the biggest fan of it because I feel like it's just not as good or interesting as it could be.
It's Guardians of the Galaxy with a Halloween reskin.
No, it's Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad with a Halloween reskin. Take that however you will. I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm just saying how it is.
I'd go so far as to say I think the Suicide Squad 2, was a much better version of what Creature Commandos was trying to do. Similar to Superman 2025, actually. It's not that James Gunn uses the same tropes all the time. It's that he seems to be getting lazy about how he employs them.
But one thing, I am using the concept art design because for me, I honestly think the concept art was a lot better than a lot of the designs in the actual show proper.
And insert my usual rant about that's not the right way around Hollywood. You're supposed to try to improve on the concept art, if you fucking please.
But I like the bride's story and kind of her own acceptance and moving forward from the kind of bitterness and brokenness that is basically her whole existence. And I will agree that her story does come across, like especially with Victor Frankenstein in the show, that she was effectively groomed.
Mm-hmm.
Again, her whole existence, the reason why she was even created in the first place was to be the bride to Eric Frankenstein, who is just a complete other fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, there's a reason why he didn't show up on my list, even in the honorable mentions. They did him dirty in Creature Commandos.
I feel like there's a version that a part of me thinks it does sort of make sense, but I also really don't. I don't know. It's anyway. That's not what I'm here to discuss, obviously.
Mhm.
The bride is very capable, very strong, very snarky. Shut the fuck up.
You know what you did. I don't even have to say anything.
She's tough. But it's very evident that obviously she is shaped by her experiences, which, as someone who didn't have that great of a life growing up either, I get.
And to be fair, that seems to be a running theme in all Franken creatures, or at least the vast majority of them. The ones that aren't just the 1940s one for the 500th time.
Yeah.
The ones
Um,
that actually try to pay deference to the source material.
but it is clear that she does have like a genuine heart underneath like all that. Again, I'm not gonna blame her for being how she is, like the cynical bitterness that she has. That's given everything she went through. Who wouldn't be?
Mhm.
And
It's kind of like my thing with Adam. I want to hug him and soothe all of his problems away.
yeah, it's very similar. And yes, I know the whole "I can fix her" thing with me. Shut the fuck up.
To be fair, I do it too. I mean, this list is nothing if not a proof of concept that I do the same thing. Although to be fair, I feel like that's been somewhat established already, given my feelings about Zuko and my feelings about Homelander. The
Well,
the
Zuko was easy. Okay, motherfucker, you give me shit about Azula all the fucking time.
I do because there's far less of her to save than there is for John.
Anyway, well, I don't necessarily think it's about the fixing. Obviously, that attracts me to her because I think, again, I get it. Like again, like I'm not gonna get into it obviously because it's my own private shit, but my life has not been the most kind.
He could give Doofenshmirtz a run for his money. Some days, folks.
I don't know about that. Um, but I like a kinship there. I think, if nothing else, and
I I
genuinely, I do
think
think she needs to find. If obviously, I think it's important that she finds self love and acceptance of herself as a person first,
mhm,
but to find someone that genuinely likes her for her and
yeah.
treats her as her own person.
And for what it's worth, I think you two would be good together. If you guys ended up tying the knot, I would be the best man. Granted, I would likely be the best man at any wedding you have anyway, but that's neither here nor
Well,
there.
okay, no, don't. I'm not gonna lie to you. You probably wouldn't. Well, okay,
That stings a little bit.
not my first. No, you wouldn't be my first choice. That would go to my my uncle.
Hmm.
Definitely second.
Okay.
Okay.
I I figured that was what your rationale was going to be. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, but yeah, if you guys tied the knot and for some reason your uncle was not available, um, I would
Oh yeah, no, you're
your
best man
your
always.
your 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 bachelor party would be hilarious.
But I'm also not gonna lie. She is, for being made out of the corpses of several women that Victor Frankenstein unburied. She is quite beautiful.
Uh-huh. And again, we will see my fixation on Adam being just adorable and perfect all throughout the rest of this list,
I think
most
that
likely.
obviously, I think the major issue the major hurdle in a relationship between us would be her stalker.
Ah.
Like seriously, I would have. I'm not that strong nor tough. So going up against Eric for the heart of this lady would be a very hard challenge for me to do.
Well, if you need help, you know a person who knows a little bit about laying the dead to rest. So
Well,
there is that.
I would legitimately think just because the guy does prove hard to kill, I would literally have to tear off every part of his body that is sewn at the seams.
And burn it. Yeah.
Oh, not just that. Like seriously, honestly, I might even have to call in favors or buy off someone or make deals to send various parts to different places, like some even into space.
Yeah, the cast the ashes to the four winds maneuver.
Yeah. Um. Anyway, let me cut that one out and go to our number twos.
Mhm.
Shut up.
Hang on, my phone's dying. Fuck.
You got it, Newman. All right. Well, I will read something. You know what? No, I feel the perfect thing. Okay. Boys and girls of every age, wouldn't you like to see something strange? Come with us and you will see. This our town of Halloween. This is Halloween. This is Halloween. Pumpkins scream in the dead of night. This is Halloween. Everybody make a scene. Trick or treat till the neighbor's gonna die of fright. It's our town. Everybody scream. In this town of Halloween. I am the one hiding under your bed, teeth ground sharp and eyes going red. I am the one hiding under your stairs, fingers like snakes and spiders in my hair. This is Halloween. This is Halloween. Halloween, 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 Halloween. In this town we come home. Call home. Everyone hail to the pumpkin song. In this town, don't we love it now? Everybody's waiting for the next surprise. Round that corner, man hiding in the trash can. Something's waiting to pounce and waiting no to pounce and howl. You'll scream this Halloween, red and black and slimy green. Aren't you scared? Well, that's just fine. Say it once, say it twice, take a chance and roll the dice, right? The moon in the dead of night. Everybody scream in our town of Halloween. I am the clown with the tearaway face, here in a flash and gone without trace. I am the who when you call who's there. I am the wind blowing through your hair. I am the shadow of the moon at night, filling your dreams to the brim with fright. This is Halloween, this is Halloween. Halloween, 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 Halloween. Halloween, Halloween. Tender lumplings everywhere. Life's no fun without a good scare. That's our job, but we're not mean in our town of Halloween. In this town, don't we love it now? Everybody's waiting for the next surprise. Skeleton Jack might catch you in the back and scream like a banshee, make you jump out of your skin. This is Halloween. Everybody scream. Won't you please make way for a very special guy? Our man Jack is king of the pumpkin patch. Everyone hail to the pumpkin king now. This is Halloween. This is Halloween. Halloween, 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 Halloween. In this town we call home, everyone hail to the pumpkin song. I did that all in one breath, basically. All right. All right. Now I'll be reading Thriller from Michael Jackson. It's close to midnight. Something's evil lurking in the dark. Under the moonlight, you see a sight that almost stops your heart. You try to scream, but terror takes the sound before you make it. You start to freeze. As horror looks you right between the eyes, you're paralyzed. Because this is Thriller night. And no one's going to save you from the beast about to strike. You know it's Thriller night. You're fighting for your life inside a killer, thriller. Ow! Sorry. I'm going to throw you tonight. Darkness falls across the land. The midnight hour is close at hand. Creatures crawl in search of blood to terrorize y'all's neighborhood.
Before we get back on track, I just want to remark upon how much good humor it shows of Vincent Price that he was able to use the word y'all, given that like his entire nature is just being the quintessential gentleman, which shows he definitely could laugh at himself, which is good for him.
You missed me reading This Is Halloween.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Anyway, apologies, my phone fucking bitched out again.
Alright, good. Okay, so we're on your number 2 then. I had to get this screenshot of the goddamn thing. It's on YouTube, by the way.
Did you actually listen to it?
No. Why the fuck would I listen to that?
I just wondered if you might have gone looking for a better screenshot.
No.
But yes, my number 2 is the version of Adam Frankenstein specifically done by Big Man ASMR. It's actually a fairly straightforward take on Adam. The listener in this case being a time traveler, and yes, I could totally see myself doing this. But obviously it's a version of Adam that focuses on the sexiness thereof. So that's why this one wins over most of the other versions of Adam. Obviously not all of them, because, you know, this is only number 2. We will get to number 1 in due course. But yeah, kudos to Big Man ASMR, and yes, I watch and listen to a lot of his stuff because, well, I have a thing for muscle-bound himbos. So obviously a channel like his is going to be appealing to me. Being as it may, I am slightly annoyed that the public version of the ASMR cuts off before we actually get to the part in the bedroom. But it's, like I say, it's an actually very well done take on Adam that just happens to focus on the sexy aspects of Adam. Which, to be fair, in my case, is not hard because Adam, as he is normally described, is pretty much always hot as long as someone pays the tiniest bit of deference to the source material.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one this is Dalton's thing, so.
And we will see more ASMR and or fan fiction and or deviant art choices in the coming weeks, my friends.
Right. Okay.
Because I explicitly asked Brainstormer if that was okay, and he said yes. He may grow to regret that decision in the coming weeks.
I already am.
But kudos to Brainstormer for being a good sport about this. Although I genuinely think there are probably ASMR stories and stuff that he would find interesting if he looked into them. I was actually thinking about this the other day. For Valentine's Day this year, maybe we should do a Smash or Pass where we play matchmaker for each other. Like, you come up with ones that I've not heard of yet that you think would work for me, and I do the same thing for you.
That's going to be difficult, simply because we're not really entirely sure what niche stuff we have come across in time. So
True, but at least avoiding all the ones that we've mentioned in our various Smasher passes from all the other years
fair enough.
probably would
Um,
go would at least go a good place. Would at least be a good place to start.
yeah. Okay. So my number two then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I do want to say thank you to Dolan because I totally almost forgot about this one.
Yep.
Eva from Igor.
And I am when I thought about it, I immediately went, okay, he's either going to think I'm stupid for this, or or it's going to be one of those moments where he chastises himself for not figuring it out. I'm happy to report it was the second one.
To be fair, it's been a long time since I've seen Igor, so my mind wasn't thinking immediately of it.
I am surprised that Igor didn't become more of a Halloween classic, if I'm entirely honest.
It's
Like,
genuinely a good movie too.
yeah, like it's not anything to write home about necessarily, but it does have the kind of lighthearted, spooky vibe to it that tends to be very fitting for Halloween. I'm kind of surprised. Like I say, it's surprising that it didn't. It's not necessarily surprising um, that more people haven't heard of it, I guess, but it's kind of surprising that it didn't develop like a cult following, especially around Halloween. Because if you're looking for Halloween oriented kids movies, you could do a lot worse than Igor.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously, she's very sweet, very kind. Um Weirdly enough, yes, I do admit that she's not okay, to be fair, I'm going off my faded memory of the movie. She's just very nice, and Lord knows I could use a lot of niceness in my life.
That being said, she is still a living weapon that beat the fuck out of an entire room full of evil scientist creations. So you still have your tough girl fixation if you need it.
Yes. Also, shut up.
Uh, you know I'm right.
Um, yeah, no, she's just again, it's very underrated. I know she has a thing with Igor by the end of the movie, I believe. Um, but again,
I it's not it's not really a romantic one, or at least unless I'm massively misremembering. Because she sees him more as her father, and he also sees her, or at least he comes to see her more as his daughter by the end, if I remember correctly.
mm. um, overall, no, she's nice, and I know she is a weapon again, that toughness, but just seems like a really nice lady you get along with. So
She's also big enough to give you the She-Hulk vibes that you like, so there is that too.
fuck off.
Am I wrong?
Fuck off.
But I'm not incorrect, am I?
Fuck off. Anyway,
Next.
uh, so for Dawn's number one, I could not find any images or anything about it. So
Okay,
it's
for those that don't know, there is a publication company called Falstaff Books. And the vast majority of the Falstaff books take place in the same universe. I recently listened to the audiobooks of Quincy Harker Demon Hunter. Um, and got introduced to the idea of the Shadow Council, which I will explain for the sake of those who have not yet read anything from the Falstaff books. In the Falstaff books universe, all of the like Victorian novels, all the events of the Victorian novels happened, and then essentially the various creatures and things of said Victorian literature form almost like a Victorian Justice League. You've got Dracula, who in this continuity survived the novel, um, under the modern name of Lucas Card. You've got the great granddaughter of John Henry, the steel driving man. You've got the, I believe, great grandson of John Watson. You've got Gabriella Van Helsing, who is the great granddaughter of Abraham Van Helsing, although Vlad typically refers to him as the fat shite in most cases. While Dracula and Van Helsing buried the hatchet after the events of the novel in this universe, they still like razzing each other. So there's that. Also, in case it wasn't obvious by his name being Quincy Harker is the son of Jonathan Harker and Mina Murray, who, because both his parents were fed on by Dracula while he was being conceived, has abilities similar to like a Daywalker. But anyway, so in the Shadow Council, there is also Adam, as in Frankenstein's monster. Although he doesn't take the name Frankenstein because he has all the daddy issues, and so he calls himself Adam Franks. And in the course of the Quincy Harker audiobooks that I was listening to, not only do we get introduced to Adam when the wider Shadow Council gets brought in, but there's also a short story in the collection where Adam is the POV character, and so we get his inner monologue. And long story short, his inner monologue made me have all the protective instincts, and so that, plus the fact that this version of Adam is kind of a quasi superhero character, is why he's my number one. But yeah, he need like the theme song for this particular list, ladies and gentlemen, is probably One Republic's "You Don't Know You're Beautiful." For me, because that's true of most versions of Adam, despite being the perfect being, because his father was an absolute, unspeakable shit of a human being to him and didn't teach him to value himself. He doesn't know how perfect he is. And if any of these characters existed in real life, my mission in life would become to remind Adam every day that he is the perfect being that his father sought to create, and his father was just too dick-headed to understand that he succeeded. And Victor Frankenstein can burn in the deepest layer of hell for that, because I must protect this creature. It is adorable and it doesn't know how perfect it is, and this must be rectified. Anyway, this concludes the first iteration of the Monster Mash Graveyard Smash list.
All right, my number one.
Yep.
Frankie Stein from Monster High, specifically first generation, like ever made Monster High, Frankie Stein, because new ones, which we have covered in the past, kind of suck.
Mm-hmm.
That live action looking movie thing we covered last year.
I don't understand why it sucks so bad. It didn't have to suck.
Well, and to be fair, this is like something that specifically I got into because it was kind of at my generation, like in my early teen years that this came out, so I have a kind of connection to it.
Mhm. And she's a sporty tomboy girl, and Brainstorm. My thing is lovable himbos. Your thing is tough girls.
I wouldn't say she's a tomboy, actually.
Well, she's sporty anyway. If I
I could,
remember Monster High correctly.
to be fair, that was kind of like a lot of girls. Well, everyone in the school was kind of sporty. Anyway, um,
That is somewhat weird to me, given that most of the characters are female. But anyway.
um, again, and weirdly enough, I think it's just like she's very upbeat, very outgoing. Kind of the opposite of me, which I kind of need that.
Mm-hmm. I think it's obvious to anyone who's watched any of our Smasher Pass lists that we both, in some sense, are seeking our opposite to balance ourselves out.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, no, she's very just compassionate, very energetic. You know, she's again very like extroverted, which uh, I kind of need sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But she's also like how to say to be fair, again, it's been a long time since I've watched Monster High, so my memory isn't as clear. But she's just cool, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, she's just very cool, and I dig it. You know, she doesn't seem to be overly like she's not like Cleo Denial, who is started off at least as the like Regina George or Regina Mills mean girl type.
I think you just conflated two vastly different characters, my dude.
No, okay, it was Regina George, wasn't it? Mean Girls.
Yes,
Okay,
you got it right. You got it right the first time. Regina Mills is
on a
Lana
time.
Priya's evil queen from Once Upon a Time.
Yeah,
Which she's not above acting like a mean girl, but her mean girlness takes the form of the like classic suburban HOA president type state. At least before the curse gets broken.
right.
Which it, we could we could spend an entire stream talking about all the problems with Once Upon a Time's writing.
Do you want?
Someday I'm gonna press Gang Brainstormer into rewriting it with me, but not today. Right now, I'm slowly but surely inching him along into getting into Dresden Files,
I'm almost done with Stormfront. Don't worry.
and there are technically 18 to go if we count the short story collections.
How about I just stick with the books for now?
Mm-hmm. The next one's a werewolf book, so there's that.
You're happy about that. Anyway, uh, okay, going off of that, let us go with something else worth discussing. It was my idea to do like kind of we're gonna be pitching some ideas we've had for our own kind of because I know I have tried to get discussions of the Dark Universe in like when we've done October. It
Mm-hmm.
never really goes anywhere.
Because they're still slowly but surely inching it along to something resembling fruition. Although to be fair, they're closer now than they ever have been because they basically they 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 did what I would consider a very smart thing and use the Dark Universe from uh Universal's most recent theme park and kind of reverse engineering it into an actual franchise. Anyway,
Yeah. So Dawn and I are going to pitch our own like ideas for our takes on our Frankenstein movie. You want to go first, or do you want to flip a coin? See, just let fate decide.
I will flip.
Okay. Heads, obviously.
Yep.
Oh, tails. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. It's been kind of difficult for me to decide what to do for Frankenstein. Like my whole idea for just doing doing like my type of kind of like horror movies, like horror action or horror adventure, like in the realm of like the Mummy movies or Van Helsing. Which, okay, side note, because they were both directed by Steven Sommers,
Mm-hmm.
I fully and in the timeline of them, right?
Yeah.
I fully believe they're in the same universe.
It makes sense to me.
And tone and everything. So
Yeah. Which
and
raises the question, given that Stephen Sommers was also involved in I, Frankenstein, is that also in the same... Wait, no, they can't be, because Adam shows up in Van Helsing. Never mind. Slight shame, but yeah.
But my take on Frankenstein was interesting because I did want to go after the books, like where he vanishes into the icy tundra.
Yeah.
But instead of dying, as it is implied, basically killing himself, right?
You mean Victor, or you mean Adam?
Adam, like he wandered into the frozen.
I don't recall it ever implying that he was dead.
That might have been what I've heard. Like some people.
The implication has always been that Adam is still alive.
Either way, my point was that I've had a similar discussion with Dalton not too long ago about an idea for this, but I'm kind of reworking it here. He travels the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately ending in his kind of journey ending in Tibet or some type of Eastern land. Again, I haven't had a lot of time to really think about this, so the details are not as...
It would be interesting if he wound up in India, just because so many of the Hindu gods are also composite beings.
That could work. Either way, like my whole idea was like the dude is basically it's a kung fu movie, or like kind of like a movie of that kind of standard with Frankenstein. That was the whole premise.
I wouldn't say that sounds interesting. It's just a really weird. It's a really weird pull.
Well, like I said, it's like my major inspirations are Van Helsing and The Mummy, which are like action adventure movies. So I wanted to do something similar to that. Plus, Frankenstein being as big, well, Frankenstein's mom, Adam, being as big as he is, but still being able to do like kung fu, wire fighting style, all that shit, I think would just be generally interesting and fun to do.
And it would beat the white savior accusation, because of course Adam is necrotic and therefore slightly green. Nobody can bitch about the white savior trope.
Oh, people would. We both know they would.
I mean, they still would, but they would have less leg to stand on.
And yes, I did want him to find love, just because That was the whole point of that character. Well, not the whole point, but a major facet of the character.
Yeah,
That
one of his defining quotes is, "I have love in me, the likes of which you would not credit, and rage the likes of which you would not believe. If I cannot satiate the one, I shall indulge the other." Which is probably it's one of my favorite literary quotes of all time, just in general. But it just goes to show just how much he deserves all the hugs, damn it.
right. That he would find a love interest, obviously, someone that accepted him as he was, and saw like the beautiful intellectual soul underneath the decaying body. Um, like I said, I didn't have a lot of major facets figured out because it wasn't my plan to talk about this movie for like another week or so.
Mm-hmm.
So I
But
was
because the theming lined up, this week was originally going to be Vampire Week, but because all the articles and things we came up with were Frankenstein related, we switched them around, which ended up working nicely for me because finding attractive Frankenstein monster equivalents is much easier for me than finding vampires because again, there just aren't that many himbo vampires, and this needs to be redressed if only for my convenience.
um yeah, India thing actually would also be pretty interesting too. Could shoot it almost like a Bollywood movie.
Bollywood kung fu action movie starring Adam Frankenstein. Like this is so bizarre. I want it to exist, which multiverse theory and all that. Somewhere in the multiverse, there are much happier versions of us that don't have to fucking fix every time Hollywood fucks something up.
Yeah. Okay, so Don, what about you?
Okay, so I think my version is gonna lean more into the philosophical direction, probably surprising no one. Um, just because like so many things about the novel get either oversimplified or dropped on the cutting room floor. Um, because the Boris Karloff version is more marketable, and I guess I would retaliate with this by making a version that not only um, focused on the novel, but highlighted the aspects of the novel that don't get enough attention. Um, just for the record, Victor is the villain of the novel, not Adam. He is Victor. He is Victor's victim because Victor. Here's the thing: there are four like obvious levels to the novel. Level one is, and people forget the full title of the novel, but the full title of the novel is Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus. And the obvious level that most people get to is Victor Victor's hubris and attempting to playing God is what leads to the problem in the novel. The other or a aspect of that is less surface level is of course the idea that Victor tried to create the perfect being and succeeded, but was too egotistical and stupid to realize that he succeeded. Um, level 3, I suppose, is returning to the modern Prometheus thing, because this is the thing people who get hung up on that first level piss me off with regards to. People catch the playing God thing and tie it to the modern Prometheus thing. But there's an aspect of Prometheus that gets ignored when people do the most surface level version of the novel, which is Prometheus was actually trying to help people when he stole fire from the gods. It wasn't just an ego thing. Prometheus was humanity's champion at a time when they had none. And he stole fire for humanity so that they would have a ability that would let them equal or even surpass the rest of the creatures that the gods created according to the original Prometheus myth. So I would like to see some emphasis placed on that. But then, of course, you have the fourth level that people should focus more on in the novel, which is there's nothing actually existentially wrong or horrifying about Adam. There's no major fuck up on Victor's part other than he created something that looked a certain way, and then he failed specifically to look past his own handiwork. And 2, he thinks that he fucked up, but he didn't. He fucked up only in the sense that he conceived a child, although obviously not in the most traditional of ways, and then proceeded to not raise that child, to make that child feel as though it was an abomination, which of course becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, unfortunately, for most of the novel. But yeah, in my version, first of all, the people I would get to do this, I'm not sure if I would do it as a show or as a movie, because the people I think would be the best equipped to handle this would be the two the two showrunners who did Hannibal, who did season 1 of American Gods, and who did Dead Like Me back in the day. They would probably be the most well equipped to handle this, because in a similar way to how they focused on the refined nature of Hannibal in their adaptation of Hannibal, focusing on that aspect with Adam would be interesting, because again, Victor tried to prove that a designed being built from the ground up could be better than God creating nature and then letting nature do its thing. And as hubristic as that is, which it is, he was arrogant in thinking he could do that. The irony is that he got what he wanted, but that very same egoism resulted in him not actually thinking things through and going, okay, wait, if I create a being, I should then have to raise it. Ironically, all the negative aspects of what happens with Adam throughout the course of the novel are Victor's own doing, not because he played God, not because he tried to unravel the great mysteries of life using science, not because of any of that, but because of his short-sighted ego. He assumed that he could just make a perfect being, and by virtue of it being perfect, he wouldn't have to do any of the work. That is Victor's biggest failing. He very this is actually a weird pull that I'm just now realizing. Victor has the same kind of short-sightedness as Reed Richards does. He's so focused on the big existential picture, the big, philosophical for the glory of the sciences, etc., that he forgets, oh wait, shit, it's a being with its own thoughts, needs, desires, and feelings, which means I have to step up and be a fucking father. So in my version of Frankenstein, whether it be a show or a movie, because I do think those two the guys who did that show running could do a movie if they wanted to. We would focus on the juxtaposition of the horrifying, macabre nature of what Victor has to do to create Adam, and the almost like Greek tragedy aspect of Adam. But I say Greek tragedy both because obviously of the thematic element, but also of the actual like aesthetics of Adam as a creature. And something I mentioned to Brainstormer that I definitely do want to bring up here. In my version of this, Henry Cavill would be playing Adam. And either through some version of mocap or through old school like size changing camera tricks. Because this is the thing. Well, I don't want to use CGI. There's no getting around the fact that as perfect and as made in a lab to be a perfect specimen of a human being as Henry Cavill is, he's like 2 feet shorter and 200 pounds lighter than he should be in order to play Adam. So, one, I would be a pedantic asshole and make Henry Cavill hit the gym even harder than he already does. But two, I would use the old school like size changing camera tricks to make Henry's version of Adam look taller and bigger than he is, rather than doing a full CGI creation. And I would try to use old school monster makeup, and I would probably have Henry study with people like Doug Jones and Andy Serkis so that he could physically embody Adam underneath all the makeup. And presumably some of the padding for his musculature could be done with prosthesis, but I would insist that Henry get as big as possible because, while Henry Cavill is basically genetically perfect in his own way, the build for Adam needs to be something more akin to like Jason Voorhees or like a power lifter or a classic circus strongman. So even Henry Cavill would have to put on weight regardless of how many camera tricks and prosthesis we pulled. But the emphasis would definitely be placed on the difference between Victor's arrogance and Adam's perfection being unrequited or unrewarded, I guess I should say. Anyway, moving to the next topic.
Right. It's loaded. So
Yeah.
funny enough, I found this.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, pretty much everything except one thing on this list I brought to the table.
I would have gotten more, but I was with
We're
Kat all week, and thus busy making the new baby feel comfortable.
No, you're good. I'm just pointing that out. That's a rarity with me.
Speaking of which, I am currently trying to locate him. So if I seem distracted, that's why. He was just laying in here, and I don't know where he got off to.
Okay. Um, so this is from the medium.com, which I believe was originally called Rewriting Whipley, which everyone is aware of what we covered with that one.
Yep, probably the most stupid per paragraph article we've ever covered, our reoccurring white whale nemesis. Fortunately, this one is much, much shorter.
Yeah, this I do want to point out this was posted like 5 years ago on February 14th, 2020. It's written by BJ. I'm going to butcher this name, and I apologize to the writer. BJ Colangelo. The repulsive romanticization of the Bride of Frankenstein's monster.
You're going to have a lot of work ahead of you to convince me that that title is not stupid, sir.
It's a lady.
What does the BJ stand for?
I have no idea.
Because
But they have a photo of them, and it's a lady.
yeah, most names I can think of that would be a BJ would be man's name. But anyway, moving on.
Sounds like you should check your bias.
It's right, but have you ever heard of a woman named that before? Because I have never in my life.
Uh,
I have
I
known at least a couple guys who had that name.
no, I haven't, but at least I'm the one open to the idea.
Fair enough. But now I'm curious what the BJ actually stands for, just because would it be Brianna Jeanette or something? I don't know.
You can look it up after the stream if you're so curious.
I suppose. Anyway, you read. I will try to locate my kitten.
I'm sorry. It's just like that. That is seriously like in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, small town shit I have ever heard you say.
Well, I suppose you can take the not even large enough to justify being on the map small town, or you can take the boy away from the not even large enough to be on the map small town, but you can't take the too small to even be on the map small town out of the boy, I guess, in some ways.
All right. Sorry. Let me, hold on. Okay. As the brain exists in other forms of media, for the sake of argument, I'm only focusing on the film from 1935, as this is where the iconography of the two characters is sourced. Okay, fair enough.
That takes most of what would be my criticisms out, because I assumed she was going to have some issue with the way it's handled in the novel.
Alright. Today, regardless of your feelings on the commercialization and capitalist spin on the societal pressure to marry and reproduce, is Valentine's Day. Again, this was published on that day, so.
I don't think Valentine's Day has very much to do with marrying and reproduction. Like, Valentine's Day is specifically marketed as the celebration of romantic love, and while romantic love can certainly lead to marriage and reproduction, I've never seen anything that was Valentine's Day related that hyperfixated on marriage or reproduction. It's actually very explicitly focused on romantic love and usually dating.
Really? Because I would assume with my generation is just trying to fuck.
To be fair, your generation property values are such that your generation can't afford their own homes, and that does put a damper on the idea of marrying and having kids.
And somehow we're considered to be lazy and not trying to do anything.
Because boomers are short-sighted.
Motherfucker,
And
it ain't even boomers. It's literally the millennials, the parents of the Gen Zers that are.
mo- I I don't know where your timeline is going here, but most Zoomers are parented by Gen Xers, not millennials.
Isn't millennial Gen Xers?
No, the baby boomers go from 46 to 64.
Okay.
The Gen Xers go from 65 to 86. And then
Okay.
millennials are 87 through 98, I believe. And then the Zoomers are from 99 to 2010, and then Gen Alpha is from 2010 to 2024. I wish the number of years that each generation consisted of was more standardized. It annoys me. I would just round it off to 20 years each. That would make everything make a lot more sense, but that's just me. But yeah, most Gen Zers parents are either very young boomers or Gen Xers. I am an outlier in this particular case because my mom had me when she was like 17 and she was a Gen Xer. Hence why I'm still a millennial even though my mom was a Gen Xer.
All right. Anyway, it's also the day where listicles of famous couples throughout history begin to dominate the clickbait-driven homepages of just about every website imaginable.
The snark is noted, but you're not wrong, so fair enough.
For horror fans, this also means we're bombarded with a ton of elementary school style Valentine's memes and relationship goal posts featuring Frankenstein's monster and the bride. It's a cute way to participate in theory, but there's a massive problem with saddling our fandom to Frankie and the bride.
Okay, first of all, his name is Adam. Frankenstein is his last name. Second of all, I've never even though there are horror couples that do get referenced in Valentine's Day, I've never seen anyone hyperfixate on Adam and the bride. I've seen oodles and oodles of people hyperfixate on Twilight because that franchise has
Joker
not
and
died.
Harley.
I've seen I've seen people.
I know that's not horror, but yeah, I know.
Then of course there's the quintessentially correct answer, which is Gomez and Morticia Adams. For they are just relationship goals all the way down, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, there are a lot of horror related like Valentine's Day ships, but I personally, and maybe this is a selection bias thing again, I've never seen anyone hyperfixate on Adam and the Bride. Adam and the Bride is usually a very tragic backstory on the basis that Adam insists that Victor make him a bride so that he can have an Eve to his Adam, but the bride ends up not liking him either in the original novel or in the Universal version, and she ends up essentially killing herself.
All right. Uh, so-called bride. Again, this is focusing on the movie, Bride of Frankenstein. So,
The
um,
only places I really see any romanticism with regards to Adam or other versions of Frankenstein's creature and the bride is in like parodies. Like I remember Scooby Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf had them as like a stereotypical bickering suburban couple. But
oh,
that's usually the context in which I see anyone pay any attention at all to Adam and the Bride.
yeah, well, yeah, Frank and what is her name in Hotel Transylvania, which is, I mean, yeah, it's still similar, very like bickering couple. So,
Yeah, like only in like kids movies and parodies do I really see any focus on them as a romantic couple because most more serious takes on their relationship fixate on the tragic loneliness of Adam and him begging his father to make him a bride and then her not liking him and that being kind of the impetus of it. If you needed any other if you needed any other evidence in the ever expanding fucking domestic violence file that is Victor Frankenstein, or I guess this would be Child Protective Services. If you needed any more things to pile into the Child Protective Services file of Victor Frankenstein is the worst father in literary history, he he explicitly wanted to make his own Adam and didn't think to give a Lilith or an Eve a try. Again, Victor's ego fucking short-sightedness being the thing that makes him the monster. To borrow to borrow a line from Hunchback of Notre Dame, here is a riddle to guess if you can sing the bells of Notre Dame.
do you think? Okay,
Who is
okay,
the monster and who is the man?
do you think? I think Hunchback of Notre Dame is a little older than Frankenstein, than Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, correct?
I believe so. It was written during the like French Revolution by Victor Hugo. So yes,
Okay.
I
Uh,
believe Hunchback is older
or do
than
you think there's some? Do you think there is some? How to say? Some inspiration drawn from that? I know there's a lot of things that Mary Shelley drew upon in the writings of the novel, mainly.
that is a very good question. I I'm gonna have to check and see if anyone has done any literary research into that because
Well, like
it would make
I know.
it would make sense if there were, given the parallels between Adam and Quasimodo.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is like there does seem to be like some interesting literary parallels there.
But I'm not sure they were conscious or even subconscious. I think it might just be a coincidence.
Either way,
I,
I'm just
I am more than open to the idea of being proven wrong, though. It's just not a question I ever thought to ask.
uh, uh anyway. Sorry, got distracted there.
Mhm.
Uh, okay. For those who have never actually seen 1935's The Bride of Frankenstein, let me get you up to speed. The titular bride is given barely any screen time, appearing for roughly 3 whole minutes. Dr. Frankenstein reanimates the body of a companion for his misunderstood monster, and upon her awakening, is immediately horrified by everything around her. She hisses at the monster, who cries out, "She hates me like the others," and proceeds to tear apart the entire laboratory and tower. kills them both by blowing up the lab, but not before telling her we belong dead. They die. The end.
Hmm.
If I remember correctly, the director of both the original Frankenstein movie and The Bride of Frankenstein was an openly gay director in the golden age of Hollywood, which he drew some parallels in the story with.
Um, that is news to me. It's not impossible. I did not know that. If that's true, good for him. I just had no idea.
Uh, Hold on, I'm looking this up. I could.
I remember there was a version of Frankenstein titled Flesh for Frankenstein that Andy Warhol made that focused kind of on the sexual angle. It is sort of a more serious version of Rocky Horror Picture Show in a way. Although it does contain the absolutely unintentionally hilarious line, "To no death Otto, you have to fuck life in the gallbladder," which is
Oh, the
just
dude is from Worcestershire. The actor,
Wor-
the
Worcester.
director, James Whale. Yeah, Worcester. I don't know what. Fuck it. The name. Fuck it.
Worcestershire is the
I
name you
don't.
are
I
looking
don't
for.
care. I do not care. Um, served in World War. That's interesting. He served in World War One. Is in British Army. He was English.
Mhm.
Captured by the German. Lived in Hollywood the rest of his life. Okay. Oh no, yeah, he did. Yeah, he was gay.
That's cool. I didn't know that, and I'm not sure it's really relevant, apart from maybe thematically question mark. But that is interesting.
Um, yeah, Whale was openly gay throughout his career, something that was very rare in 1920s, 30s. His knowledge of his sexual orientation has become more widespread. Some of his films, Bride of Frankenstein in particular, have been interpreting as having a gay subtext. Okay, so it's not that he was clearly, but some people interpreted like.
I see. So this is post hoc, post fucking critical theory
Okay, well, let's not say it can't be.
projection.
I don't think it could be there. Let's not.
Maybe, but the important thing is he did not put it there, nor did he seek to put it there. From everything we can tell, anyway. It's not like he wanted the movie to be a commentary on it's not like the early 2000s X-Men where they were explicitly trying to make parallels between being a mutant and being gay.
That's fair. I'm just. Well, I
I,
agree. I don't think it was the director's intention. I think subconsciously or inadvertently, it's there. Like sometimes how I do with writing.
it's at least an interesting angle to an interesting lens to look through. I just don't like the he was gay, therefore it must be gay revisionism thing. Like because speaking myself as a gay dude and a disabled one at that, some people have more interesting things on their minds and more interesting like source materials and literature to pull from than their own narcissistic sense of identity.
I know. Okay. Anyway, for a movie called The Bride of Frankenstein, the film surely doesn't give a single warm shit about the titular character or how she feels about becoming a bride.
I mean, that's fair, but to be fair, the original movie didn't really care that much about being a good adaptation of the novel either, so I'm not sure
Actually,
why you're
okay,
surprised.
I'm not saying the original movie is bad because it's pretty much a staple of pop culture at this point.
Yeah, there's a reason it became a classic. It has a lot of style that makes it
But
worth paying attention to.
but hear me out. If it was a more faithful adaptation of the book, how do you think it would have been perceived all the way back then?
That is a very interesting question. I really really wish I knew the answer to that because I'm wondering what would get Butterfly affected. Assuming that the adaptation of Frankenstein was a closer adaptation of the book, what would get Butterfly affected about the like golden age of the Universal movie monster movies? Especially given that this would be a version of Adam that can, you know, be very eloquent in his own defense and shit.
I also think I know that's not his real name. That was a stage name he'd used, but Boris Karloff actually would have might have actually been how to say it.
Boris Karloff could have easily played a more book accurate version of Adam.
Yeah, because I think he played Amun Ra in The Mummy, correct? Like the original Mummy.
He did, if I'm not. Although we might be mixing up Lon Chaney Jr. and Boris Karloff there.
Hold on.
Like I know Lon Chaney Jr. was also in a bunch of horror movies around that same time. And I
No, yeah.
know
No, okay, not Amun Ra. Imhotep. Yeah, it was Boris Karloff.
Emotep. Okay, yeah.
Where the fuck did I get Amun Ra from?
Um, he was um um that was a pharaoh in Egypt, and it's also the name of a god. It's one of the many identities of Ra.
I know, but I've heard that name before. I can't remember where the fuck I've heard that.
Um,
Oh no,
uh,
the book of Amun Ra from the 1999
right, right.
Book of the Living. Okay, fuck it. I am dumb.
Mhm.
Okay. Anyway,
Moving on.
the source material, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, doesn't do her many favors either, existing as a bargaining chip for the monster as the only way he'll agree to leave society. The would-be bride never even gets the chance to live once again because Dr. Frankenstein has a change of heart after thinking about the possibility of his two creations making monster babies and destroying all of humanity and elects not to reanimate her.
Uh,
To be fair,
uh,
the book itself, correct me if I'm wrong, Don, because I've not properly read the book,
mhm.
is ultimately a tragedy in all aspects.
Yeah, and
So,
if there can be said to be a villain, Victor is that villain.
well, to be fair, he also, well, the monster in retaliation kills Victor's fiance.
He does. Although this could have been resolved, Victor, if you'd actually taught your son how to behave like a normal human, or let him have access to moral philosophy books and shit. If you had actually treated your son like a father would, Victor, you wouldn't have had this problem. It is entirely your fault. You like he is insofar as he is a monster, which he isn't, but insofar as he is a monster, he is the monster that you made him by your negligence. In a just world, Victor would have been the one fucking chased out with pitchforks and torches, not Adam. But eh.
Look, I get it. Universal needed to shoehorn a female character into its Universal Monster Camp group, like State College pamphlet trying to boast diversity. But it's never sat well with me that the bride was the choice. First of all, Countess Maria Zaleska of Dracula's Daughter fame has a whole ass movie and character arc, not to mention a heart wrenching story about coming to terms with her own sexuality compared to the bride, who exists solely as a gift for another character and is immediately killed for daring to have her own autonomy.
Again, if you're complaining about the use of Frankenstein as a source material in the Universal Movie Monsters, I'm with you. But it must be said that this is also true of the first one. It did not do Adam any favors. So there's that. Like, again, I understand your complaint, and there's at least some merit to it on the basis that Universal did the Frankenstein IP dirty for like decades. But if you're complaining about it not servicing its characters well, that's just as applicable to the first one as it is to the sequel. I would also like to point out that Dracula in the book, I believe, has no less than 3 quote unquote wives that he sires. So, yeah, if they wanted a female character, they could have very easily had one, and it would have been fine. But yeah, if you're complaining about the Universal movie monster, in particular the way they use Frankenstein as an IP, not serving its characters, it doesn't serve any of its characters because it isn't a good adaptation of the novel. It's iconic in its own right for its own reasons, but as someone who really does like the novel and really does find a lot in the novel that's worth like remarking upon and discussing, it could have been a much more compelling and interesting story had it actually followed the novel more. Moving along, though.
Alright. It's likely due to the iconic appearance of the bride's electric striped, gravity defying hair and her perfectly placed stitching, and the fat Countess Zaleska is a big old lesbian. But when it comes to pop culture mass production of horror themed romantic gifts, Frankie and the Bride reigns supreme. I'm currently in the midst of planning my own wedding, and it's extremely disheartening that the only 2 options I have for ready made romantic horror decor either force me to culturally appropriate Dia de, Dia, Dia de los Muertos sugar skull couples in wedding attire, or features a couple that never actually loved one another and would end up dead because the dude was a whiny piss boy who didn't get the girl he felt he was entitled to have.
Okay, fuck you entirely. You are now actually slandering Adam, and again, Adam is the victim of his father's fucking short-sighted, evil, fucking stupid bullshit. So yeah, no, you can go fuck yourself. He wants a significant other for much the same reason as many quote-unquote incels in today's day and age want a significant other. Namely, when no one has ever loved you or shown you affection, you become very, very desperate for it. Also, being a pedantic asshole, there are so many horror couples you could go with. Off the top of my head, the one I would go with if I wanted a horror-themed wedding would be Gomez and Morticia Adams, or if you want something that's a little bit more explicitly horror oriented, Hannibal Lecter and Clarice Starling. There you go. Or hell, actually no. Wait a second, hold on. What? Shape of Water came out in like 2017. Why not just do a Shape of Water wedding? If you want something vaguely horror oriented. or speaking of things that are at least vaguely horror oriented that you could theme a wedding around, Hellboy and Liz, or Abe and I forget Noada's sister's name in Golden Army. But those are also options. There's also King Kong and the woman he ends up with. There's also like even just sticking with the like Universal movie monsters, you could do Mina and Dracula. Um you could do Mhotep and his reincarnated love interest, or his allegedly reincarnated love interest.
Okay,
Like,
I'm sorry. I want to. There's something else that kind of bugged me because I looked into stuff for things we're working on, like Egyptian mythology.
yeah,
Imhotep is not a bad guy, actually.
yeah, no, he becomes the god of medicine essentially, if I'm remembering
Yeah,
correctly.
the dude was hold on. Uh, Im- hold on. Egyptian chancellor to the king Djoser, possible architect of the Diogenes step pyramid, high priest of the sun god of Ra. Uh,
He was essentially Egyptian Merlin who got deified after his death.
yeah, first known physician to separate medicine from magic, emphasizing environmental causes for illness. A polymath, groundbreaking architectural. Uh, a foundation for the pyramid building, medical writings. Yeah, Edwin Smith Papyrus, detailed diagnoses, treatments for various ailments, and anatomical observations centuries before modern medicine. Deified as the god of medicine and wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he also has is identified as the Greek god of healing, Asclepius.
Asclepius.
Okay,
Asclepius.
yeah. So
Yeah,
it
when the Greeks and Romans got a hold of him, they drew parallels between Imhotep and Asclepius.
right, but I'm it's like don't get me wrong. I like the movies, like the Mummy movies, like the original ones.
Yeah, but they could have done a lot more with Imhotep being the mummy as well. Yes.
Either that, or just give the guy a different name because it's not really Imhotep. To be fully honest.
Um, Personally, for me, what would make sense is Jadefre. Jadefre was the third son of High King Khufu, and he's somewhat noteworthy for being kind of historically slandered, and it's kind of implied that Jadefre poisoned his father to gain the throne and backstabbed his brothers.
Mm.
So if you wanted a complex, quote unquote, evil mummy character, you could do worse than Jadefre.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yep.
All right. At the very least, I'd love it if horror fans stopped sharing things like we were made for each other, featuring illustrations of Frankie and the bride. Frankie was not made for the bride. She was made for him without any say or consent, and had things worked out, she would have existed for his pleasure and happiness and nothing more.
No, he wanted a romantic partner to emotionally bond with. Again, you are explicitly slandering the book now, so you are actually
All
pissing
right,
on
I'll be right
pissing
back.
on Adam proper. He wanted a he wanted a romantic connection, not a sex doll. He explicitly wanted to feel wanted and desired. That's an emotional desire he's having. He didn't he he didn't ask Victor to make him the like 19th century equivalent of Megan Fox or somebody like that. He felt like he was the only one of his kind because he was, and so he wanted his father to make him a again, like I said earlier, insofar as Adam is Victor's Adam, Adam just wanted him to make him a Lilith or an Eve. This is frankly just an extension of misandry that you're doing here. You're assuming that because Adam is a male entity, he must only be interested in sex or pleasure or orgies and shit. Which again, I don't know is you can kind of project this kind of complexity um onto movie Frankenstein, but you most definitely can see that reflected in the novel because Adam is rather noteworthy for throughout the novel, like waxing philosophical like a poet the whole fucking time, and explicitly wanting a connection with someone else, a connection with humanity in general, and he wanted people to care about him, which in a better world he could have gotten from his father, but he didn't because Victor is a piece of shit, and so he sought that love and connection elsewhere. And it was this line of thinking that led him to insist that his father make him an Eve to go with his Adam.
I'm gonna be fully honest, like not to give anything away, but we have worked on our own version of Frankenstein for a specific project of ours,
We
and
have. It's good. It's
yeah,
very, very good. I mean, obviously, that yes, we're tooting our own horn here, but god damn it, we put so much effort into our characters, guys.
to be fair, I think I don't know which one of us. I think I brought up the idea of bringing in Frankenstein or like the monster.
And then I suggested going with the like folkloric alchemist thing that Mary Shelley based her story on,
Yeah.
and then we went from there. And then I remember it was specifically me who mentioned Galatea as the
Well,
instance for
done.
it.
But I think we just kind of did something very different, like to a lot of like adaptations of the character of Adam,
Mhm.
which is we made him happy. Like that's all I
It's
really want to say about it, mind you. I don't want to go in depth, obviously, just for
yeah, but we don't we do frequently torture our characters, but we usually counterbalance this by giving them happy endings. And we, what we did as an homage to Frankenstein, because we didn't actually do we didn't actually use Adam. We again went slightly further afield into the actual folkloric origins of the
I mean,
story before Mary
I think the
Shelley, but
book I believe the book itself is legitimately public domain. We could have, but I feel like
we could have, but there was more interesting stuff we could do with the folkloric origins, and in in a lot of our stories we try to bring in like obscure history and things, and in particular in the Lionhearted universe we do a lot with cryptozoology, um folklore, creepypastas, and that kind of thing. So it was a natural fit to
to be fair, I think
go
it was
back and default back to Mary Shelley's own influences
right.
instead of doing Adam.
To be fair, I think this whole project, and unlike Dawn, I am able to keep a tight lip on it, as so
I
people
mean,
don't.
we've mentioned the Lionhearted on stream before. I'm not sure
I
why
know. I'm
we're.
just saying, like, I don't like going in depth on stream simply because I don't want anyone trying to steal our shit.
Mhm.
But I kind of think how this project all started was because Dawn wanted me to learn how weird our world is, like really, and
Yes,
so he was
and
inadvertently teaching me a lot of stuff.
to borrow from to borrow a line from Shakespeare, there are more things in heaven and earth that are dreamt of in your philosophy.
To be fair, the world has I don't know why some people think history is boring. Granted, it is how it
I
is.
I do. It's the American educational system not actually letting people find history interesting. That's why. Because
You
we
know the
don't
problem is,
we
you know
don't actually we don't actually teach people to find things interesting, or we don't actually desire for kids to find things interesting. And that's why most of the things people learn in school go in one ear and out the other as soon as the test is over, because we don't actually we don't actually give people enough context or enough depth to know the interesting aspects of human history.
I remember a lot from my literature classes, but that could just be because I'm me. So
hmm
fair. I
I
remember
I
one.
liked I liked history because I had a lot of really good history teachers, but I still hated the way it was taught in the American
Yeah,
educational system. Most of the most interesting things I learned about history, I learned outside of school on my own fucking time
yeah.
because I was just
Anyway,
that nerdy. Anyway, yeah,
hey, Don,
moving on.
uh, for the record, I think just because time purposes, also, I'm starting to feel a little tired. Uh, Maybe we should skip the Renegade cut video and save that for next week. Like save it as a
Mm,
slot.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, because I want to get to the trailers that we have. So, all
Yeah.
right. At
Anyway,
the
finishing
very
the article.
yeah. At the very least, okay. Hold on. Sorry. Uh, the Bride and Frankie fall under the same category of revolting romanticism as Harley Quinn and the Joker. Okay, Don. Before you do, because I know you have something to say. Can I?
By all means.
Okay. Uh, while I agree, the romanticism of Harley Quinn and the Joker is beyond fucked and stupid. Thank you, whatever the fuck the original Suicide Squad movie did.
David
Why the
Ayer.
Well, actually, no. Actually, that was actually before even that. People saw that as a good relationship for whatever fucking reason. So I'm not gonna blame Suicide Squad 2016 for that. They didn't help by
Yeah,
carrying.
it doubled down on the problem by making her just a dumb blonde bimbo and a cheerleader quite type thing. But
Yeah. She's not even supposed to be a real blonde.
yeah, just oh god, fuck you, Snyderverse. Seriously.
I don't think again even before that, like even before those movies and that whole
Yeah,
thing.
no, the problem was still definitely it was definitely still a problem. It's just that
Got
like
expounded.
most of the worst things that ever happened in DC Comics or DC continuity, the Snyderverse just poured a bunch of gasoline on that particular fire.
Fair. But no. The whole point was originally, and don't get me wrong, I don't mind if there are different interpretations of this and like try to change it up. That's fine,
Mhm.
so long as they keep the core that those two are not supposed to be together. That it is a toxic, violent relationship. It is an abusive relationship. Okay.
Granted, they should have tweaked that for the sequel to 2019's Joker because Arthur actually does deserve someone who is complementary to his weirdness. Fuck you, Todd Phillips, for apparently agreeing with all the asshole critics who hated your first one and cucked out so hard to them that you ended up pissing all over everything that made your first movie good.
All right. Uh, um, I'll never quite understand why so many people post cute Valentines striving to emulate couples that are one sided, toxic as hell, and promote extremely unhealthy relationships. Okay, to be fair, that is because most people that make those kind of couples don't actually understand genuine relationships and just go on along with fucking tropes that have existed since time immemorial.
Door number two of the problem here is that you're assuming that people actually look into the depth of this kind of relationship. Most people just like the imagery.
Oh yeah,
And if
yeah.
and if and if the, and if they're told that a relationship is romantic, they will see it through the lens of it being romantic. It's the same thing with Edward and Bella. In a quote unquote grounded, realistic take on those, it's a horrible and horrifying relationship.
Sorry. I don't know if you've seen these shorts, but someone was doing like someone has done for one thing. He's done like I can't remember his name right now, but a guy who does like these YouTube short skits, also on TikTok, but um, where he does like either like historical dramatizations, like for comedy's sake, or this two specific ones are like healthy vampire and werewolf boyfriend relationships, right?
Hmm.
And with his lover, who he calls Sweetness, I'm sure you can guess why. They're watching like a movie, which I think is implied, or it is stated. It's been a while since I've watched it, so bear that in mind. To be Twilight, and he makes mention that that in the vampire community, it is that isolating this girl or someone from their friends and family so they can be with them, yada yada. Right? It's called blood begging.
That's hilarious. That's
Yeah,
perfect.
and their lover asks them if they're doing that to them, and he says, "If I was doing that to you, I wouldn't have to visit your parents every now and then and hear your father call me."
Okay, I think I have seen this
Oh,
clip. Okay, I think I have seen this clip actually.
have you seen
Okay,
one?
but
Yeah, sorry.
here's not to derail, but here's
Yeah.
another thing that's fucked up about Twilight. Okay, and this goes to maybe why so many of these toxic relationships do get romanticized. Is because there is a certain, obviously not all. I'm a soft touch for romantic novels and stuff too, but there's a certain percentage of people who hyperfixate on romance novels that don't really think of the wider implications of the stories they're consuming because they see the main characters as blank slates to project themselves onto, and they view things through the lens of narcissistic wish fulfillment more than actual people with actual, romantic tendencies. Because here's the other thing about Twilight. As fucked up as Edward is, if you look at it in a, more grounded context, quote unquote, it's just as fucked up that Edward fixates on someone who, and I'm going to be controversial here, Bella does not deserve any of the attention she gets. She is she is lame, she is depressive, she is a narcissistic little shit of a person, and the only reason why everyone who sees her fawns over her is because of the like narcissistic wish fulfillment aspect of romance novels, and everyone wishing to project themselves onto Bella, and that's why Bella is such a useless blank slate of a character. But if you actually look at the story in the context of treating them like people, there's nothing there's nothing for Edward to glom onto, and there's nothing for Jacob to glom onto. The only reason why they both hyperfixate on Bella is because the writer says so. The world of the story says so. So, as fucked up as Edward's half of the relationship is, let's also realize that if it weren't for the magic of plot convenience, Bella doesn't deserve any of the romantic attention she gets from normal ass humans, let alone super powerful monster creatures and so on. Because Edward and Jacob could both do better. Frankly, they could do better by just cutting Bella out of the relationship entirely and banging each other. but que sera, sera.
Moving on.
Yep.
Okay. Where was I? Oh, I'll be the first to admit that horror doesn't have a lot of pop culture juggernauts to choose from in terms of the healthy relationship department. Dalton.
Gomez and Morticia, Clarice and Hannibal.
Okay, that one might. I feel it. But that doesn't mean we need to fixate so heavily on couples that basically serve as a proverbial red flag. Not to mention, it makes you look like you don't know the ending of the oldest horror movies ever made. So there's that too.
Most people don't think through that far. When it comes to romance, a lot of people are, for better or worse, and to be fair, it really depends on the person whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Most people just want a little bit of narcissistic wish from it. They want to see themselves, in other words, as Bella Swan or Anastasia Steele or the protagonist of every body stripper ever written. It is a tiny bit narcissistic. Yes, I will agree. And yes, I also have occasionally found gay romance novels where I kind of do the same thing and just stick me in wherever the nerd character is. So there's that. But yeah, there's always going to be that slightly superficial narcissistic element of romance novels because a lot of romance novels are essentially just the protagonist is a blank slate for you, the reader, to project yourself onto. Because if Bella Swan, a person with no noteworthy qualities whatsoever, and frankly quite a lot of negative qualities of her own that she should deal with or should be at least called out for, if Bella Swan can get a ancient vampire and a supercharged hypermasculine werewolf to lust after her, then you, the generically bitter middle-aged type A soccer mom, can also. And that's why so many romance novel protagonists are frankly disturbingly banal and bland and like tepid as like room temperature water. Because if if Bella can get Edward and Jacob lusting after her because of the magic of plot convenience that's contrived as fate, then so can you, random bitter middle-aged postmenopausal woman who's never had a romantic uh, feeling for her own husband in her life. Anyway, moving on.
Sorry, I started talking and then I realized I was muted. Okay, so I just randomly came across this trailer, and it genuinely surprised me. This is called The Bride with an exclamation mark at the end. It's a teaser, and it is a Frankenstein movie, obviously told from the perspective of the bride. It's fascinating. I looked at some comments the first time I had seen it, and some people had said this is what Joker 2 should have been, and another one had said like it's kind of like a horror version of Bonnie and Clyde.
Which I think I even made Bonnie and Clyde references with regards to what Joker 2 should have been.
It's weird how people always bring that up. Weren't those guys like deranged criminals going on like a warpath across the United States?
They were criminals, but A, they were the like mobster style of criminals, and B, even at the time, a lot of people kind of saw them as a modern day pair of Robin Hoods.
Were they though?
It's complicated. They weren't sociopaths.
Okay,
Um,
well, when you say Robin Hoods, were they? What was the whole thing? Their whole gimmick?
seemingly they did crime just because they liked it. But because this was also like during and immediately following the years of Prohibition, a lot of people had a lot of resentment towards the institution of the police, and
Uh,
so they kind of they
they
they treated
sensationalize.
they they treated Bonnie and Clyde as folk heroes, essentially, as sticking it to the man, more or less. And the
Mhm.
fact that they were also a couple and they did seem to have a lot of real genuine affection for each other helped, I think, because not only were they sticking it to the man and kind of being the modern day equivalent of Robin Hoods, but they were doing it as a couple and genuinely loved each other, which also made it easy for the public to kind of root for them. Yeah. Also, speaking of things that they definitely should have and easily could have done in Joker 2, take take a few notes from Thelma and Louise, except instead of the canyon, at the end of the movie, have the vat of acid be the canyon.
All right. Shall we?
Um,
Can you see it?
yes, I can see it. It's just I'm trying to think of a pause word.
Oh no, we do jack o' lanterns.
Yes, okay. Jack-o'-lanterns.
Can't believe you forgot jack o' lanterns.
I can't believe it either. I I'm I am, however, multitasking because I'm trying to keep an eye on my kitten so that he doesn't feel abandoned or left out or, God forbid, ever get into any dangerous situations that he can't get himself out of.
Fair enough.
Jack-o'-lanterns.
Alrighty, this has like a sense of real style to it that I dig. Because it does seem like a period piece, actually. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not actually no. Okay, given the clothing and some of the styling of the sets, could be like 50s, 60s, maybe 70s. When was it like a major crime wave in America? So
That
like
would be
70s,
nice.
80s?
Uh, there have been a lot of crime waves, but probably in terms of the modern romanticization of criminality in the mob, that was the 20s and 30s during Prohibition.
I don't know. Her dress. Actually, you know, what, I'm not too sure. To be fair. Anyway, anything yet or
Uh, Not yet, no.
okay? Jack o' lanterns.
Jack-o'-lanterns.
Oh yeah, this looks like a trip.
That is usually a good thing. God forbid Hollywood remember that stylization is a thing every now and then.
I want to wait to tell you until we actually see him. Who's playing the monster?
Mm.
Jack o' lanterns.
Jack-o'-lanterns.
There he is. Christian Bale as Frankenstein's monster.
Is that how he's actually credited?
I have no idea, but the design and stuff.
Right, but in in absence of any evidence to the contrary, I always default to him being Adam because
I will look it up real quick. I'm sure they'll have it listed.
frankly, Frankenstein is the monster in that story. Worst parent in literature history.
Uh, uh, 1930 Chicago, it's set. Okay.
Okay, so it is at least adjacent to years of Prohibition. I'm forgetting when. I want to say it was 1919 Prohibition was passed, and it was like 1933
Okay.
or 34
So
when it was repealed.
okay, he is just labeled as Frankenstein's monster.
Okay, if that's how he's credited, we'll roll with that.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so Jake Gyllenhaal is in this, or Gyllenhaal is his actual pronunciation of it. His sister, I believe, Maggie Gyllenhaal, is older sister, who is an actor herself, done some stuff. Is writing and directing this.
Good for her. Directorial debut, possibly. I don't remember if she's directed anything before.
Oh, holy shit! She was Rachel in The Dark Knight.
Ah, good for her.
Yeah, she's been in stuff. Okay, but hold on. I'm looking because she has like other credits for director as well. Okay, episode for a miniseries and movie I've never heard of
Mm.
in 2021. It still looks interesting though.
Mm-hmm.
But also the thing. Okay, so I rolled it back to 40 so we could hear what. Let's call him Adam for this, obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
like listen to what he says.
There's nothing left to do but
That is an interesting take because they're not. He's not bitter, or doesn't seem like it.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got basically because they're bodies, right? They're reanimate corpses effectively,
Mm-hmm.
and they have this second chance at life, and so now they can just live it up, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's very much like a horror theme, like, well, okay, maybe not horror theme, but it's it does kind of seem very like crime thriller deal.
A little bit, yeah.
I don't know why. I was also when I was watching this, I'm kind of getting like you remember Nightmare Alley, like Guillermo del Toro's Nightmare Alley.
Yep. The remake.
Yeah, kind of like that. It just like visually, it kind of reminds me a bit of it.
A little bit. It does have Del Toro vibes to it, which of course is going to be very ironic in a minute because of course Guillermo is finally doing his version of Frankenstein.
I don't. It, never mind. Never mind. You're fine.
What?
I like to keep it a surprise to make sure people are guessing what we're doing next. That's showmanship. You think a gay guy who's also a theater nerd would know that?
I mean, that's fine, but you do remember that you link all the topics in the comments with the source links.
Do you really think anyone's gonna when they're watching the stream is gonna look at the description?
Not necessarily. I'm just saying anyone who wants to know what we're covering is just going. would just be able to look in the comment or the description and see where the links go.
Okay, that's not me spoiling it though.
I'm just saying, if you wanted to maintain the mystique, maybe don't do that, is what I'm saying. But anyway, jack-o'-lanterns.
Come on, man. You don't want to play?
Okay, got that violence, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although again, it's not like a lashing out at the world. He's had a he's protecting his girl. Best way I can put it, really.
Which,
It's
I
just
mean, to be fair, for any version of Adam, once he does find someone to love, he is going to be extra, like, protective of them.
hey, Don, you might want to wipe your mouth because you're drooling a lot.
How the fuck? Never. I'm just now realizing you meant that metaphorically. It was like, he can't see my face. What the fuck?
I could hear it in your voice when you were talking.
Hmm.
You forget, I know you enough that I can hear when you're getting fucking horny. I wish I didn't, but I do.
You have looked too long into the abyss, and the abyss has gazed back into you. Mwahaha.
Yeah, the abyss regularly tells me what kind of shit he likes in bed, much to my annoyance and to his chagrin.
To be fair, we have we have done like several years worth of Valentine's Day related months, and that's included various Smasher Pass lists, and that's not even counting the other Smasher Pass lists we've done over the years. So like, it would be very odd if we didn't know each other's preferences back to front by now. And that's not even counting all the discussions we've had off stream on like Thursday when we're
That,
discussing shit.
all I'm saying is, motherfucker, drink some water because you damn thirsty right now.
I am sorry. I find it very endearing, the idea of a literally perfect being that has had such a rough hand in life that he doesn't know he's perfect and needs to be coddled and told until he believes it. Because again, to play back what I said earlier, you don't know you're beautiful.
Jack Lawrence?
Jack o' lanterns.
I took that to his mom.
Oh yeah, this seems like a ride, and I would be fully on for it.
When is it coming out?
I don't think it's said yet. Jack Lawrence?
Jack o' lanterns.
Okay, March 6th.
Hollywood. I know we've had this discussion many times by now, but learn to coincide your releases with their appropriate times, please. For the love of all that is holy and unholy.
To be fair, this came out like a week ago. Like this trailer came out like a week ago.
Right, but why would you release this kind of movie in March when October is right fucking there? And they don't even have the excuse that October is overbooked this year or anything because fucking the only like major Halloween center releases so far this month,
John Harris.
so far this season has been The Conjuring. So like you have a very light October schedule that you could very easily have put this movie in, and you didn't. And you need to sort your shit out, Hollywood. Maybe people would be more willing to go to the theater if
Even then, like I don't even. Here's the thing: if the trailer came out this week, usually it's going to be a few months before that movie like that would come out reasonably.
right, which would have meant that if they released it in October like they should have, unless they were releasing it for next October, it would have meant that it would have been the trailer would have been released sometime in July.
Right, but
But at
hold on.
least then
Can
it
I-
would make
can
it,
fuck-
go ahead, sorry.
it's not so much I have a problem with them doing a trailer now for like something that's going to come out later. Like honestly, I could see this movie being like set in February. I realize like in the winter, like the early months of the year, movies don't really do too well.
Right, but it could also come out as a Valentine's Day movie since they're definitely playing up the romantic angle.
Yeah,
but they didn't do
It's just
either of those
weird
things.
that it's set in March. Like that seems like the most random slot for it. That seems to be that's the main problem for me.
Yeah, like there are plenty of places this could work. Like again, the obvious one is October, but I could see it working as a Christmas release, depending on how they chose to tone it, and I could see it working in February, like you said, as a Valentine's Day release.
like a dark romance movie. Not
Yeah, and there are plenty of people with spooky tendencies that don't really do the traditional Valentine's Day thing that would definitely glom onto that.
So I wanna make this very clear before someone twists my words. What I mean by dark romance is romance with a dark atmosphere rather than dark romance, the genre. Because I am aware of that genre, and I really rather not see that portrayed on screen because that is weird as fuck.
Speaking of fetishizing utterly fucking traumatizing relationships.
Well, no, it's just really okay. I've seen the memes of like book talk girls and like how freaky they are.
Yeah, not to. Yeah, you thought I was being thirsty just now. You have not seen.
Oh God,
You have not seen the ocean of thirst until you have seen Book Talk in the romantic genre. Damn it!
Well, I've seen the jokes about it, and my God.
Speaking of horny housewives who want to project themselves onto romance novel protagonists, which again, to be fair, I do it too. But one, I try to know when I'm doing it, and two, I do actually try to give a damn about the characters involved rather than just a masturbatory aid. Which, when you get right down to it, that's what that romanticy subgenre of book talk is. It's just middle-aged soccer moms and their incalculable amount of Tumblr thirst.
Well, also, okay. Look, if you're that horny, talk to your husbands about like enacting sexual fantasies or something. I don't know. It's just like I feel like there's a bit too much repression there that it's going to explode in some weird fucking.
And if you're single and getting your kinks out this way because of that, they make AI characters now. There's absolutely no reason why you can't live out your monster fucker fantasies on your
Yeah.
own terms.
Anyway,
And I speak from a not inconsiderable amount of experience on this front.
anyway, sorry. Sorry, fuck. Okay. Last thing of the night. I came across this, and since we covered the first teaser when it came out, and we're just big fans of the guy making this, this is the official trailer for Guillermo del Toro Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't really have anything to say before we start, other than I'm damn well excited about this.
Yeah, it's Guillermo has always had a sympathy for the monster vibe or running theme in his work, and
Oh yeah, even like kind of the stuff that okay, Pacific Rim, first one obviously. There's no sequel. Well, Pacific Rim: The Black, and maybe the
yeah,
comics.
yeah, we don't talk about the rising of anything in relation to the
It
in
still
relation.
sucks that the sequel wasn't called Maelstrom, which was his original idea.
Yep.
Granted, I
It,
can't walk.
it's kind of like I, as a Hannibal Lecter franchise fan, do not acknowledge the existence of Hannibal Rising, for it is shit.
Anyway, yeah, in a lot of his movies, barring like Pacific Rim, there's always been a sympathy for like or something that humanizes in a way the supernatural.
Even Nightmare Alley has the whole sideshow, quote unquote, freak
Yeah.
sympathy for it, and so on. Which, to be fair, that is a massive influence on the things that Guillermo del Toro likes. Because me and Guillermo del Toro actually have a lot in common with regards to this.
Except he's Mexican, and you a white boy.
Okay, so that would mean that you and he have that in common then. But
Yeah. Wait, was that supposed to be racist or something? I already knew you were.
Good to know you're not busy taking a siesta.
At least I can walk.
You're going to have to try a bit harder. I have long since been desensitized to that particular line of attack, and also it doesn't particularly matter to me anyway.
Same, it doesn't matter to me what you say. So anyway, yeah, no, we covered the first one. It kind of came out, I think, like a week or so after it came out. Obviously, uh, maybe two, just because like we didn't want to be caught in like not the uproar, but like all the people that were covering it. It's
the bandwagoning.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know why that word was escaping my mind there. Yeah. And we generally liked it. So that first one, something I picked up pretty early on when I was watching this one. So the teaser trailer was told from the perspective of Victor Frankenstein, while this is told from the perspective of Adam, which was a very, which greatly fascinated me.
It's definitely an interesting angle, and honestly, again, given how baked into Guillermo del Toro ness the whole like sympathy for the monster or monstrous creatures are, like, I'm not super surprised. Because again, me and Guillermo seem to kind of be very much of the same mind on this sort of thing, which means that if anyone is going to get that Victor is again, to borrow from the Hunchback meme, who is the monster and who is the man? And for those playing at home, the answer is Adam is the man and Victor is the monster.
All right.
But yeah, if anyone is gonna get that Victor succeeded and was too stupid to realize he succeeded, it's Guillermo.
All right, as it goes on, I will bring up comparisons to the first trailer we had seen because I had noticed some interesting things that differentiated this trailer from that one. I talked briefly with Dolan about it on Thursday when we hung out.
Yep.
But I do want to gauge his actual reaction to this trailer
Mm-hmm.
as he's a big fan of Guillermo del Toro and obviously also like a big fan of Frankenstein as just overall. So.
Mm-hmm. So jack-o'-lanterns.
Yeah. Why does this remind me of Crimson? What was it? Crimson Peak, like the castle
Mm-hmm.
or mansion, I suppose. What
Yeah,
was it?
yeah, I can see what you're saying, and given that Guillermo del Toro did a version of that, at some point, that kind of works. Anyway, jack-o'-lanterns.
My maker told his tale. And I will tell you mine.
Okay. So first thing I want to point out was the voice of the monster, of Adam, who is being played by Jacob Elordi.
Why does that, like, for some reason my brain heard what he just said and went, this sounds like the kind of thing someone would say at one of those like support group meetings. Like I could see Adam at a support group for like children of abusive parents, and like this would be the thing he would say immediately after the whole "Hello, my name is Adam," and then of course everyone would echo "Hello, Adam," and yeah, you know what I'm saying. Obviously, that would be probably a slightly more comedic take on this, but it does very much sound like the kind of thing he would tell his therapist.
Either that or well, again, I do feel like it's following the book that it's being told by the writer of it, like the character who is hearing both these stories.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the character's name, unfortunately, but he's writing letters to his sister.
Yeah.
But when we first seen the from the teaser trailer, which from the perspective of Dr. Frankenstein, played by Oscar Isaac, actor. When we heard the voice at the end of it, when he called for Victor, it sounded more gravelly, more deeper, more monstrous, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which automatically made me think. Obviously, this whole trailer was from the perspective of Victor, and given how Victor viewed Adam as this horrific beast and monster, even how he would hear his voice, because we criticized that when we first heard it and saw it,
yeah,
because we thought that would have been his voice throughout. But
yeah, and Victor, if you don't like his voice, who the hell gave him his voice box, Victor? I am continuing my salty hatred of Victor Frankenstein forevermore. Okay. God damn it!
But given how we just heard the voice of Adam, who is speaking right now, which it sounds, as we said, like how we both imagine his voice, how I imagine
this is far better and far more true to Adam as a character. Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's very interesting on how they played it here.
Which again, if anyone other than me is going to hyper emphasize that Victor succeeded and was too stupid to realize he succeeded, it is Guillermo del Toro, so I'm not particularly surprised.
Okay. So the bringing him to life, obviously they're using the lightning, but it also seems like it's connected to other stuff as well. And again, just how everything looks, right?
I mean, Guillermo del Toro has never been a slouch when it comes to stylization. It's one of the reasons I like him so much, because he's one of the few people working in Hollywood today that remembers, oh wait, stylization is a thing.
So I also, okay, I remember I'd seen some people mention that he was T-posing with the lightning, as the body was strung up as it was. Which, yeah, funny enough, but and now at first, my first thought was it was symbolic of crucifixion,
Mm-hmm.
like an inverse of it, effectively, because Christ died.
I think it's probably a deliberate parallel because
But I'm also considering, what is that drawing of the man in the circle with the diagram
the
of man?
pentagram,
Yes,
Da Vinci's the Vitruvian Man.
which I kind of think that's actually more akin to it. Granted, the legs are closed, but given
I think if anything, Guillermo was combining them to like emphasize the like Christ-like victimhood of Adam being persecuted, and also his again, Victor sought out to create a perfect being, succeeded at creating said perfect being, and was too stupid to realize he succeeded.
hey, Gentle, sorry, good to see you. I don't think you need to catch up. To be honest, you can after the stream if you want. I actually would like to hear your thoughts as we're watching the trailer for Frankenstein here.
Although, feel free to at least go back through and check out our Monster Mash Graveyard Smash, because I'm curious what your commentary of those would be.
Yeah, it was Dawn's idea to do a smash or pass for like monsters. So if you're gonna blame someone, blame him. But yeah, ultimately up to you, man. Also, okay. Also out of curiosity, you see the thing, Dalton?
Which thing?
Or not interested? Was in the parentheses.
Oh, the Lovecraftian thing. I saw you sent it. I didn't get a chance to check it out because between taking care of my new kitten and doing stuff for the podcast, I didn't get a chance to click on it yet.
Yeah, okay. All right, cool. Cool to see you here, man. But yeah, I do think what's it called again? Da Vinci's.
Vitruvian Man.
Yeah, like I want to believe that's where the parallel is there, or like the inspiration for the how he's being created here.
I don't see why I don't see why Guillermo wouldn't kind of do both and then combine them, which seems to be what he's doing here.
Right.
Because again, it does seem like Guillermo is emphasizing Adam's purity and his soulfulness.
To be fair, I didn't want to jump immediately to Christianic symbolism, just because like a lot of people tend to do, even though it's not.
Yeah, it's absolutely hack. Yeah, it's one of those pseudo intellectual. Everyone thinks they're super smart the first time they come up with it, and then they fail utterly.
But yeah, I can agree. Like I honestly think it could be both. I am probably going to judge you more for which monsters you did and didn't include than your verdicts there. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But again, like the lab and everything, and like this is how you do this is how you do darkness in movies.
Yeah. Dark doesn't mean bland, doesn't mean overly grounded, it doesn't mean nihilistic. dark can be stylized. Ask Tim Burton. Ask Guillermo del Toro. Ask
Does Robert Eggers' Nosferatu count? Like
I would
stylized darkness?
I would say I would say Robert Eggers in general counts because he's like he got started doing The Witch and then he's
Okay, actually, I'm sorry. Little aside here. On Dracula movies,
mhm.
did you ever watch The Voyage of the Demeter?
I did.
What'd you think of that?
It was good. I wish it had contained the rest of the story because it would have been interesting seeing the whole story of Dracula in that style.
Okay. But to be fair, they don't really touch upon what happened on the Demeter in the novel, I believe, correct?
No, they do. There's an extended sequence where the crew is wondering why in the fuck people keep disappearing, and then of
Okay.
course, you know, Dracula be Draculaing.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, shall we jack o' lanterns?
We shall indeed, jack-o'-lanterns.
I remember pieces. Memories of different men.
Let you.
Again, it's all very stylized, but again, that it also fascinates me because that's always been a question. That's one of the many questions I've always had about Adam.
He used pieces of other people's brains, therefore shouldn't Adam have some recollection of other people's lives and things?
It's either or both the brains or certain memories or things are imprinted on the body parts that were
Yeah,
used.
like a muscle memory thing.
Yeah. And if you want to get metaphysical, bits of the souls of all the other people that help form Adam's soul.
Well, yeah, that's the question of, is Adam a separate, like, was he born in like the metaphysical sense of a whole new being, or is he some kind of egregore? I personally think it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Because clearly he does have his own mind, his own thoughts, his own experiences as he is
Right.
evolving to the world.
Yeah, and to be fair, human children are made using the fragments of two souls, obviously, with the father and the mother respectively. So
Yeah.
if anything, and this also might fit into Victor succeeding even though he didn't realize it. If the average person is the conglomeration or the sparking of two souls, and Adam is made of 10 different, pieces of 10 different souls, would that imply, or I guess I should say, could that imply that he's actually more soulful than most humans? Which again, given the sort of philosophical, poetic nature of Adam from an emotional standpoint, I could certainly see that being a thing.
Yeah. And again, it's all visually just phenomenal. Like,
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro knocks it out of the park again. Hands up for anyone who was surprised. I better not see a single hand up. God damn it. Anyway, Jack-o'-lanterns.
but it does make me interested. I'm very interested because in some scenes it's show like it does quickly show that Victor is finding bodies like in what looks to be somewhat like a morgue or mortuary or something, and also a battlefield, and it doesn't show grave robbing. But it genuinely, because if he
Sorry,
gets
go
the
ahead.
memories from those men, that I'm just fascinated what
Does
memories.
that mean Adam was born with PTSD because of all the soldiers? Furthermore, given that Victor is trying to make a perfect being out of this, and he's using soldier body parts, does that make Adam technically a literal super soldier?
No, this is Frankenstein. Sorry, we got on like a side tangent there, Dragon Turtle. So,
Mhm.
yeah, sorry for confused you there.
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein is what we are currently reacting to.
I just seemed. Well, no, he did the Strain, which I guess does technically count as vampires. So,
Yeah. Although honestly, if they ever do a remake of Interview with a Vampire while Guillermo is still alive, I would really like to see him take it.
I have heard a lot of good things about like the book of the TV series on AMC.
The movie with Leonardo DiCaprio is also really good.
You mean Brad Pitt?
Sorry, I got my 90s heartthrobs mixed up.
Anyway,
Uh, Jack-o'-lanterns. Yes.
And I saw it. Your name. Victor Frankenstein.
what I've seen of this Strain, need to see more. It was good. Also, Dawn, there might be some supernatural elements there after all, despite learning mostly sci-fi biological. Well, to be fair, in the original novel, it was never specified how he created the body, correct?
Although the electrical implication doesn't come out of nowhere, because we know that Mary Shelley frequented medical colleges when she was young, and they were experimenting with electricity at the time, and that may have been an influence on them. But
Oh, in fact,
but
they're actually, sorry.
the interesting thing is Mary Shelley didn't actually create the idea of Frankenstein out of whole cloth. She based a lot of it on medieval sort of folk tales or fairy tales about an alchemist creating a homunculus. So there is also that.
Yeah. I do hope they find. It does seem like they are in this specific one for Guillermo del Toro's version. It does seem like they are still going with like the lightning giving life and stuff.
It's just too iconic not to use is the thing.
Although with the machines and stuff strapped on like the red glowing stuff, I am wondering if there's a certain alchemy being used as well.
Yeah, I don't know if Guillermo is well read on alchemy enough to know what red mercury is, but there's a mythical alchemical thing known as red mercury that might be a reference to.
Or it could be blood, because I mean, you gotta
It
think.
it could also be blood. I I want to believe that Guillermo is geeky in this particular way, especially because I actually have his he published a lot of his production notes and diary entries and stuff for a lot of his early work under the title Cabinet of Curiosities, and he does seem to like kind of the same era of stuff that I like late medieval, early Renaissance, or early modern period and into the Age of Exploration. So it's not entirely impossible that Guillermo is geeky enough to want to alchemy post essentially, which would make me exceedingly happy.
Right.
Also Jinx, Guillermo. If that is in fact what you did, Jinx.
Um. Okay, General. I'm sorry. I have to ask about the strain thing. Uh. So I want to ask how far you are because I could potentially spoil something for you. Um. Just like the origin of the vampires is super fascinating. From the strain.
I don't think Dragon Turtle cares about spoilers mostly, but we will wait for him to comment on that.
Uh, well, you know the vampires in the strain are parasites uh, from the how to best say this. So you got the ancients who are like the first vampires that can infect people with like these little worm things that make them into the vampires of the strain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're all born from severed limbs of a fallen angel.
Yep.
That's actually like the super interesting thing I've learned from the strain.
Yep.
Anyway,
Jack-o'-lanterns.
okay, so sorry. So Guillermo del Toro's done vampires, you know, Blade, The Strain, well, Blade 2 and The Strain. He's done Creature Black Lagoon with
Shape of Water.
He's doing Frankenstein with Frankenstein. Um, what other would be like the Wolfman and Invisible Man?
He's done Demons by way of Hellboy, obviously.
I'm sticking with Universal Monsters here.
Um,
So he would be stuck with right now the Wolfman and the Invisible Man. Um, is there anything?
I'm trying to figure out if Guillermo would lean into the masculine subtext of the werewolf and make gay werewolves a thing.
Yeah.
Because as much as I am loath that he does believe in some version or other of social justice, it's very obvious that he does believe in some version or other of social justice because of the subplots in Shape of Water and of course the periodic obsession boogeyman bullshit over fascism in Pan's Labyrinth and of course his version of Pinocchio, which I love you, Guillermo, but the fascists are not on the rise again, and they probably never will, at least not in a form that would be recognizable from the historical perspective. But then again, he's also Spanish, so maybe there's some cultural like PTSD over Francisco Franco that I don't know. And in fact, given that the real world quote unquote subplot of Pan's Labyrinth involves literally Franco's Spain, um, it wouldn't surprise me if Guillermo just has a great chip on his shoulder about fascism. But nevertheless, Guillermo, my brother in eccentricity, you need to get over this because social justice is crap and always has been, and fascism is not in danger of returning anytime soon. And in fact, all this quote unquote Antifa posting you're doing, Guillermo,
No.
is only going to exacerbate the problem and possibly become a self-fulfilling prophecy eventually.
Um,
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Jack-o'-lanterns.
okay, I'm sorry, I had to point this out. So Mia Goth is, I believe, playing the what is Victor's fiance's name? They ever give her a name in the novel?
They do. I just don't remember it off the top of my head. What the fuck is her name?
Elizabeth Lavenza.
Okay, yeah, it was Elizabeth. 'Cause
Oh, shit.
Dracula. Mhm.
Sorry, he's got a lot of famous people in this movie.
I mean, he does have a like world-class reputation, for good reason, mind you. As much as I'm annoyed by his Antifa posting tendencies and his social justice pandering,
Shut the
he
fuck.
does have a good reputation, and he deserves it, in spite of rather than because of aforesaid ideological bullshit. So,
Okay, no, never mind. It was not the fiance. Oh wait, never mind. Serving as Victor Frankenstein's adopted sister, fiance, and wife. Adopted.
but yeah, the whole adopted sister thing might be a subtle way of Mary Shelley setting up the whole bending against the natural order thing. Maybe. But
But
given that she's adopted and they don't go full ancest with it, I don't know if that was intentional. Or it might just be Mary Shelley being capable of subtlety that my uh, addled 21st century mind can't quite grasp.
all right. If you mean who the monster killed, yeah, it's his betrothed in the book. Yeah. Um. Well, we see here because that's clearly the monster. If you look, like it's his black hair, like the long black hair,
Mm-hmm.
and it shows that she's her like holding his face, which obviously is a very like intimate thing to do to a person.
Yeah.
Which what I think we're fair to say that Guillermo del Toro is taking a lot more inspiration from the actual book. Clearly, he is obviously also putting his own spin on it, which as he does,
Right.
which makes me consider that. Uh, okay, sorry, Giant Troll. Just could also have been hidden fetish stuff. Not something to jump to conclusions, but always possible. Fair. That's okay.
And I mean, yeah, it's possible. I mean, Oscar Wilde wrote the picture of Dorian Gray because he thought a guy was hot and wanted to essentially make a love letter to him. So it's not impossible for Victorians to have done something along those lines.
Right, but I just find it interesting that this scene is shown.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do feel like that is a very big departure from like anything relatively known,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just interested to see where that goes, or find out how that works, or
I'm
because it could be that she falls in love with the monster, which doesn't seem not, which is a up.
it
Or this
fits
off.
it fits with Guillermo del Toro's Guillermo del Toro-ness, and it emphasizes the like soulful humanity of Adam, so it works.
Okay. Let me push it back to a minute just so we have the full 20 seconds.
Yep. And then jack-o'-lanterns.
You know, I also found out there's actually a real Frankenstein's castle in Germany.
Yep. That's why she called it that.
Anyway, jack-o'-lanterns.
Jack-o'-lanterns.
My creator. I demand a single grace from you.
Oh yeah, no, this is. I remember some people saying Jacob Elordi, who's like very much like heartthrob kind of dude. They were worried about him playing the character of Adam,
Yeah.
but all like just from his voice alone here, and like how he is expressing every emotion and the softness and everything, like all of it conveyed just through the voiceover.
Yeah. And I will once again emphasize this for those slow on the uptake. Victor Frankenstein wanted to prove that he could design from scratch a perfect being, and he succeeded, but was too stupid to realize he succeeded, and so, like, stitching and scarification and necrosis aside, Adam is a perfect being and there should at least be emphasis towards that, which Guillermo being Guillermo and having the easiest time in the world for sympathy for the monsters, etc. I'm not surprised that he and I are on very much the same page with Victor succeeded and was too stupid to realize he succeeded. Someone please point out to him that he succeeded and then call him a dumbass for being a terrible father.
Right.
Anyway, jack-o'-lanterns.
I honestly think this might be one of Guillermo del Toro's most visually. Well, okay, maybe Pinocchio.
He's wanted to make this movie for decades. I'm not surprised that he put his heart and soul into this, which
It
is
real. To be fair, it's
which
really showing.
which is sort of ironic, given that the whole premise is that the creation of Adam itself is supposed to be Victor's magnum opus. He wanted it to be his magnum opus. He just was too stupid to realize when he was successful because he couldn't see past his own fucking surgical ineptitude.
All right. Shall we?
Yep, jack-o'-lanterns.
Jack-o'-lanterns.
If you are not to award me love, then I will indulge in rage.
Okay, so they are adapting some version of my favorite line from the book.
Yeah, as soon as you said it earlier, I knew it sounded familiar.
Yep. The line specifically, and probably the line that most emphasizes the like tragic perfection of Adam as a character, is quote, I have love in me the likes of which you could not credit, and rage the likes of which you would not believe. If I cannot satiate the one, I shall indulge the other.
Yeah, and I wonder if the movie is that dramatic and poetic or just the monster. I mean, it's Guillermo del Toro, so
Probably a both and situation there, DC.
Yeah. And what this was a scene in the book as well, because I remember it from the movie and been down to it several times, where he's in the abode of a blind man.
Yep. And the blind man, by virtue of being blind, treats him just like he would treat anyone else, and therefore, Adam, for the briefest of moments, looks like he may have found someone who can accept him. And then, as per the tragic, just just the tragic sort of existential downward spiral of the book, something occurs to fuck it up, and Adam goes further down the path of darkness because he was never given the option to do anything else. Poor
Uh,
baby.
okay, I'm curious what happened.
I don't remember the specific thing that
Ah.
fucked up the blind man scene. Is the thing. It's a reoccurring thing where he'll run into someone who actually does seem like he's going to find someone who can relate to him, and then something occurs to it. And you're going to roll your eyes at me when I say this, but it's kind of like what happens in The Boys with Homelander. Like every time it looks like he might find something resembling human connection, something occurs that reveals that either it was fake to begin with, or it was used to manipulate him, or in the case of Soldier Boy, he just pisses all over his son's dreams and everything gets worse.
To be fair, with Adam, I do feel sympathy. For Homelander, not so much. Granted, I'm aware of his past. I get it, but you can only. There is a point where
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The-
There are there's something to be said for he could find the inner strength to resist what was done to him, but at the same time, he is the monster they made him.
with Adam, it feels more like how do I put this? His life was born of tragedy, and tragedy just seems to follow him as a cloud of thunder and rain.
Adam doesn't set out to hurt people on purpose. Most of the time, at least in the early parts of the novel, when he hurts someone, it's because he's so much stronger than everyone else and he doesn't know how fragile other people are. Only after his father rejects him and basically curses the day he made him, and so like only after everyone and their mother has shit in the dinner that is Adam's life does Adam finally snap and as per the aforesaid quote decide, fuck it, if they want me to be a monster I will show them just how monstrous I can be, etc.
And it's a good thing you mentioned how like he's a lot stronger than most, because it literally in the scene we paused it at, it's showing him tipping the frozen boat.
Mm-hmm.
So
Just on a pragmatic level, Victor, when you give when your son is an 8 foot plus colossus, maybe you should at least feign giving a shit about him just for self-preservation, you dumbass. Although, from a human and I feel bad for Adam and want to give him all the hugs because he deserves them. God damn it. Perspective. You should care about your son because he is your son. You absolute evil cunt of a being, you. But even from a pragmatic sociopathic standpoint, you gave your son superhuman abilities par excellence, and then you told him that you hated everything about him, even though you're the one who made him that way.
all right.
Is it any wonder it came biting you back in the ass, you absolute twat?
All right. Jack-o'-lanterns.
Jack-o'-lantern.
Now, run.
I am torn between the desire to hug Adam's cares away and the Schadenfreude of seeing him fucking
Okay, so
torture his absentee father like no tomorrow.
This kind of a theory about the movie I have, given what we've seen. Relating to the scene I had brought up earlier about Elizabeth, maybe seeing the monster and maybe gain some type of romantic favor. What if it is in this iteration, right? What if
What if Elizabeth's corpse becomes the basis for Adam's ride?
no. What if it is Victor who kills her out of jealousy because she falls for the monster? Given what we know about the kind of
If that is the context, that's perfect. But I'm also going to laugh hysterically because Victor, you explicitly made him the perfect being. How did you not see yourself getting cockblocked by a being that you designed to be literally perfect, Victor?
I'm just like, again, with the scene we had seen of like their something of whatever moment that was between Elizabeth and Adam. And
Frankly, I hope you're right. Just because I want to see the world realize just how awesome Adam is, and I kind of would like it if in this version Victor is the only one who can't see that he succeeded. Like his hubris and his desire to short-sightedly play God and shit is so like self-deluding that not only does Adam know that Victor succeeded, but it'd be nice just this once to see a version of the story where everyone else sees Adam for who and what he is just fine. It's Victor who has the problem.
um, I mean, I think
Victor creates a perfect being. Victor, also Victor, is surprised Pikachu face when said
so,
perfect being is more likable than him.
okay. Again, two scenes that were shown here. One towards the end, it shows that Frankenstein Castle in the movie, right, is burning.
Mhm.
And earlier we'd seen a shot of like mini vases, possibly urns or whatever. Victor had set up in what looks to be Frankenstein Castle, and he throws a match and lights it on fire. Correct?
Mhm.
Something I don't know. I'm just that scene of Elizabeth and Adam sticks out to me because that is something new, clearly, and
Mhm.
it's not just some random shot. Obviously, this is a Guillermo del Toro movie, and not saying he has control over the trailer making, but when a shot like
But
that is shown,
he has a long standing empathy for monsters.
yeah,
So it would not surprise me if um if Guillermo fixated on some of the things that I also fixate on with regards to the novel and went, no, Victor's the one with the problem. Fuck him.
yeah. Also, I remember someone pointing this out. So the title, how the title is, it's actually the original Mary Shelley's like writing of the name Frankenstein,
Mhm. Yep.
which awesome.
Yeah, it shows a certain level of fanboyish devotion to the novel, which again, I am not surprised with regards to Guillermo del Toro, because if anyone, if any director working in Hollywood is the patron saint of monster fucking, so to speak, it's Guillermo.
That is a sentence you said. Okay, shall
uh, Jack o' lanterns.
Okay, so apparently it's in select theaters on October 17th, but it comes out November 7th.
You know what would be interesting? You know what would be interesting?
Yeah.
Okay, so piggybacking off of what you said here and what I said in response to it, what if Guillermo del Toro treats this version of Frankenstein like um a Quentin Tarantino revenge movie where Adam is the protagonist and getting revenge on Victor is the positive ending.
Something I also wanted to, something I just noticed with like comparison of like the teaser and the official trailer we just watched, right?
Mm-hmm.
The teaser was set up more as a horror because again, it's from Victor's perspective, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But here, it seems almost from Adam's perspective, right? It seems more, how to say it, operatic. If
Yep.
that makes sense. Like,
No, you're right. I think a good way of putting it would be Byronic,
yeah, thank you.
Lord Byron is
Uh-huh.
Lord Byron is kind of famous for this sort of story.
The Byronic hero, yeah. I'm aware of the trope.
Sometimes sometimes it's a crapshoot as to what you've heard of and what you haven't. So
I watched the video from Tail Foundry. I'm up to date. What? I watch a lot of their videos because it's good to help me write.
and I mean, to be fair, we did end up partially using their Dracula video as a basis for ours. So there's that.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, no, it just seems genuinely like more of an epic tale from this trailer as it was shown.
Honestly, if Guillermo really wants, I know I misunderstood what you were saying earlier, but like having like you were saying, having Victor be the jealous one and kill Elizabeth because he she gets attracted to the perfect being that Victor made because he's perfect. Victor, you again, it's one of those. It needs to be put in a meme format. Victor creates perfect being. Victor is surprised when perfect being is preferable to him. Um,
There
like
was a poster for him.
but like yeah. If if you're right and Victor's the one who ends up killing Elizabeth, what if Adam brings her back and then she becomes his bride at the end? So Adam gets a happy ending.
All really depends. I
I
could,
could I could really see Guillermo doing that because frankly that is sort of what he did with regards to Shape of Water.
yeah, that's fair. That's true. Okay. I'm gonna be fully honest. I still need to watch that movie.
You do. It's a bit heavy-handed with the social justice. That is a sizable drawback from it, but it's still one of his best. It's still one of his best movies, and given who we're talking about, that's saying a lot. Have you ever actually watched Pan's Labyrinth?
Long time ago. I was like young when I first watched it, so it's not fresh in my memory.
Yeah.
But I'm aware of
Speaking,
like scenes of it stick out to
yeah.
me.
Speaking of movies that it would be good to like um to refamiliarize yourself with before this one.
All right.
The only problem with Pan's Labyrinth, and yes, I know Guillermo did this deliberately, but I can still consider it a bit of a drawback from the format, which is he made it entirely Spanish language, so it's all subtitled. I I know it would be semi blasphemous to create a dub, but I still the lazy American in me wishes there was a dub.
I don't know how I feel about that. Anyway, with that, folks, I want to say goodbye, adios, aloha, avirzai, sayonara, peace, cheers, and
Shalom and have a spooky fuck off.